I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today is Columbus Day, a federal holiday in the United States which officially celebrates the anniversary of Christopher Columbus' arrival in the Americas in October 1492. Christopher Columbus led a Spanish enterprise to cross the Atlantic Ocean in search of an alternative route to the Far East, only to land in the New World. The first Columbus Day celebration took place in 1792, when the Columbian Order of New York, better known as Tammany Hall, held an event to commemorate the 300th anniversary of the historic landing. Happy Columbus Day, one and all.
They see me mowing my front lawn. I know they're all thinking I'm so white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy? Look at me, I'm white and nerdy. I wanna roll with the gangsters, but so far they all think I'm too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. I'm just too white and nerdy. Really, really white and first time class there at MIT. Got skills, I'm a champion of D&D. MC Escher, that's my favorite MC. Keep your 40 out.
Oh, well, here we go again. Time for another week of whatever this is. Let's see if we can close that up. All right. Yep, I was getting... Okay, that's ready to go. Hey, welcome to another week of Good Morning Artesia radio shows. I'm Gene. That's Jeffrey behind the curtain, and I know it's a school holiday today. There's no school today. And depending on where you are is the holiday that is being celebrated. Federally, it is Columbus Day. In New Mexico, it is Indigenous Peoples Day. So celebrate how you wish. And it's going to be a short week for the school kiddos. Friday is Parent-Teacher Conference Day. So it's only 3 days of school this week, and then they dig back in for the rest of the month and into November until we get to the Thanksgiving break. Hope you had a great weekend. What about all this rain? Oh my gosh, it rolled in, what was it, Tuesday or Wednesday of last week? I think it was Tuesday. Yeah, it rolled in Tuesday because we were... I think we had volleyball Tuesday, and we were going to have soccer on Tuesday, and of course the soccer, was that Tuesday? That happened? The days are in a blur. Anyway, it turned out to be a rainy period that went all the way through with the Eastern New Mexico State Fair, with heirloom makers having their corn maze and pumpkin patch open. It affected the balloon fiesta up in Albuquerque. They had a lot fewer days of activity at the balloon fiesta that they normally would have had. Yeah, we were supposed to do Boys versus Portales on Tuesday, and that kind of they finally played, but it was way late, and it didn't even look like it was going to happen because of the rain had started to roll in. And so it rained like every night at the fair. And what was really sad for us, and I'm sure it affected a lot of other people too, is we had a couple of our remote trailers out there. We had our video trailer and we had one of our radio trailers. And we discovered Tuesday, and especially Wednesday, that our radio remote trailer leaks. Oh my gosh. It's a fiberglass pod is what it is. It's an old school, it's a big flat metal, it's a flat deck metal trailer. It's a heavy beast. Weighs almost as much as a GMC Hummer. And it's got speakers and the speaker pods, and then there's like a radio pod that's in the middle that is where the DJ sits. And that's where the PA amplifier is, and the tuner and the mixer, and that's where they normally set up to do their radio broadcasting from. And I get this panicked call and some video clips from our DJ on Wednesday evening, and I walked out there, and it was literally raining in the trailer. And I guess the fiberglass is cracked, and there was enough water that it came in through the fiberglass. Well, it has a sheetrock roof, and so all the water was probably standing on top of that piece of sheetrock, and it was just seeping through the sheetrock, and it was dripping onto the radio equipment in the trailer there. So we couldn't do much in the trailer during the week. I'm surprised we didn't burn anything up or blow anything up. But in any case, we've got some work to do on that trailer before it rolls out again, and it's supposed to be out end of the month for an event up in Roswell. So got some work we've got to do. Anyway, it was kind of an interesting thing because they had different events, they had different concerts, and stuff like that. And I'm sure it affected the concerts, and poor folks with the concerts with all their equipment and gear out there that was getting soaked and wet and rained and all that good stuff. But looked to be a pretty successful fair. Talked to one of the fair folks, and they seemed to be, okay. It turned the fairgrounds into a sea of mud in some areas, parking lots especially. But all in all, it seemed to be a pretty good deal. Anyway, what do we have on the show today? I think we've got a few guests that are going to be here. It's the return of the barking guy in studio. He back in town, heard him barking at the soccer game on Saturday. So the barker will be here, and then we'll have Joby and the Pecos Valley Bassmasters. Maybe. I think Joby will be here. I know they had their final end-of-the-year tournament, championship tournament, and we talked all about that last week and showed pictures and stuff like that. We have Monday night football tonight from out at J.C. Park, and I think this rain weather is finally moving out of here to where we can enjoy that. But that'll be tonight around 6:30 out at J.C. Park. Tomorrow is the Southeast New Mexico. Let me see if I get this right. Southeast New Mexico Music Educators Association District Marching Festival. And that's going to be tomorrow at the Bulldog Bowl in Artesia, New Mexico. It's always free event, but the concession stand is run by the band Boosters, so if you want to get something to snack on, you can do that. Capitan is going to kick it off tomorrow afternoon at 5:45. Goddard will be at 6:05. Artesia at 6:25. Lovington at 6:45. Portales at 7:05. Hobbs at 7:25. Carlsbad at 7:45. And Rosberg at 8:05. So we will have that on radio and TV tomorrow evening. Again, starting about 5:45, we'll come on the air and We'll broadcast on the radio and on the TV the band's performances. Now, we're not going to put it on YouTubes or Facebooks because a lot of the bands will perform what is considered popular music. And as soon as they play 20 seconds of popular music, the bots jump out and start flagging our broadcasts and blocking it in the majority of the countries on the planet for copyright violation. So it'll be on the website, ksvptv.com. We're just going to put it in the Good Morning Artesia event. So if you go to ksvpradio.com, it'll pop up right there after this show is done as the next event. And if you go to ksvptv.com, same thing. It'll be right there. I may go ahead and put a box on the Bulldog channel for that. I haven't done that yet, but I may do that tonight. So we'll get that squared away. Wednesday, pretty regular day. Thursday, the girls soccer team game with Lovington that was postponed last week because of the little fender bender, if you will, that the bus from Lovington had with a truck just east of town here. They have rescheduled that for Thursday at the MAC. So that'll be Thursday at 6 for the varsity. Volleyball is going to be playing one of their last non-district games. They're going to be hosting the Alamogordo Tigres, and that'll be 6:30 on Thursday. Then Friday, high school football kicks back in. Barking Guy's going to talk all about this, but District 4 4A football, District 4 5A football resumes on Friday night with district action. Roswell is going to be here in town at the Bulldog Bowl. And the Goddard Rockets will be hosting the Mayfield Trojans. So the start of district, and Roswell's number 1, Artesia's number 3, Goddard's number 4. I think Mayfield's number 6 in the state in the Max Preps rankings going into this week's games. So I said to somebody the other day, I said, Friday night starts the New Mexico 5A football playoffs. Although this would be the double elimination portion of the playoffs, because whoever loses Friday night is not eliminated. They're still going to be in the playoffs. What'll be interesting to see if, say, Artesia beats Roswell Friday night and PV wins, do they flip-flop Artesia and Roswell and keep PV at 2? Or do they move Artesia up to number 1, drop Roswell to 2, and drop PV to 3? And then if Goddard beats Mayfield, do they stay at 4 or do they move up to number 3? So it could be an interesting challenge for the computers that do the Max Preps rankings to see how they decide how they want to handle that. If that is the scenario, if Goddard beats Mayfield and Artesia beats Roswell. If Roswell beats Artesia and Goddard beats Mayfield, do they flip-flop Goddard and Artesia? Keep Roswell at number 1, PV at number 2, and then if Goddard wins and Artesia loses, do they flip-flop and put Goddard up to 3 and drop Artesia to 4 or 5, for that matter? So, best way to make sure that doesn't happen is just win the game Friday night. Then the chips fall where they may. I think at this point in the season, what you want to do is try to have a top 4 spot. And then at the end of the seasons, let's say Artesia sweeps and Roswell beats everybody but Artesia. So Artesia's, 3-0 in district, Roswell High's 2-1. And, Goddard in Mayfield, Goddard beats Mayfield, so it's Goddard 1-2 and Mayfield's 0-3. Does Goddard, or they still get a top 4 spot? And then when the NMAA puts all the brackets together here in a few weeks, do they put all the teams from our district, especially the teams in the Pecos Valley, do we all wind up on the same side of the bracket? One of us falls to 5, has to play in the first week, and then the winner of that game has to play one of the other 2 teams in our district in that round of the playoffs. Will the NMAA do that? Now they are adamant that when they set these brackets, it's totally based on the criteria, and they don't move things around based on feelings. That it's all based on the criteria, and they're pretty insistent. They're pretty adamant that that's how it is done, and that when it does happen, that 3 of our teams, the Pecos Valley teams, are on the same side of the bracket. They're gonna maintain until the cows come home that's what the criteria point does. And I hope they're right. I mean, that would be my goal, would be that to believe them 100% that when the NMAA seeds everything, that it's completely based on the criteria points. And again, the way to fix all that, you just win. Just win out. You win the games, then you don't have to worry about any of that other stuff. Because whoever wins this district is going to be the number 1 ranked team in the state. And whoever comes in second in this district is going to be the number 2 or number 3 ranked team in the state. So, win. Just win out. What did the old Raiders owner used to say? Just win, baby. Just win. All right, Steve, get in here. Is it going to rain? Tell us.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Low pressure over western Texas and southern New Mexico, and a lot of moist air available, so scattered showers and thunderstorms coming up for us today. It'll be cloudy, and that'll keep our afternoon high in the low 70s. Some showers and thunderstorms continuing overnight, and we'll drop to about 55, and then high pressure takes over the weather pattern on Tuesday, upper 70s and sunny. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
So what did he say? It could, still, maybe, possibly. Don't they know we've got some outdoor activities we need to get done this week? Huh? They got to know.
I hear the drums echoing tonight.
Curious once we get the rainfall totals to see what they wind up being. Let's see. Did it ever pop in? My issue is that the app that I use for my weather update for you is a little slow to pull up data this morning. Cloudy and 54, and it's showing we could see some rain at noon o'clock. But then partly cloudy by 6 o'clock tonight, so maybe the rain will end for a while after the noon o'clock rain shower, and then we can get back to having some sun. Because like I said, we've got some stuff that we have to get done. We've got Monday Night Football tonight. Got a band competition tomorrow night. We gotta be good. 54 and cloudy. 96% humidity. Dew point is 52. The winds are calm. Pressure is steady at 30.14. Air quality is 38. We have good air quality. Sunset will be at 6:30. Sunrise at 6:58 in the a.m. Carlsbad, cloudy and 55. Again, they've got a shot at some rain at noon o'clock today. Rosberg, cloudy and 54. Might see a little rain this morning and a little bit of a chance for some rain through the midday into the evening hours up in Roswell. But not much of a chance, just light chance. Cloudy and 55 in Hobbs, America. Around New Mexico, mostly cloudy, 46 in Albuquerque. Sunshine, 40 in Santa Fe. Mostly cloudy, 42 in Cloudcroft. Cloudy and 42 in Ruidoso. Mostly cloudy, 52 in Las Cruces. Sunshine, 44 in Farmington, 32 at Red River. Mostly cloudy and 52 at Clovis. Cloudy and 54 at Lubbock. Partly cloudy, 55 in El Paso, and in Artesia, again, cloudy skies, 54 degrees. What do we have on the old luncheon menus today? No school today, as we said. It is In New Mexico, it is recognized as Indigenous Peoples Day. Federally, it is recognized as Columbus Day. Senior Meal Site. It is Columbus Day, so it is a federal holiday, so there is no chomping on food at the meal site today. Senior Center. It is not a city holiday, so the Senior Center is open today. And they will have, what is today? Today is the 10th. That's right. I don't know why these boxes weren't. There we go. Get my calendar up to date. We have exercise video at 8:15 today. The Creative Crafters will be crafting creatively at 9. Then after lunch, which you're on your own today, it's Train Dominoes at 1 o'clock, 42 at 1 o'clock, and the Sewers at 1:30. So that'll be going on today. Tomorrow at the Senior Center is battery, watch battery day. And tomorrow, the meal out in the evening tomorrow evening will be at Piccolino's. So make sure you're on the list if you want to go and join the seniors there. That's tomorrow night. So check today to see if you're on the list to go out to dinner tomorrow night so that you're there. Let's see. The library. Again, it's not a holiday for the city, so the library is open today, regular business hours. And they're getting all geared up for their Halloween fun event, their Haunted Lab, which will be on the 29th of October, 4 to 6 p.m., ahead of the Trick or Treat Artesia. They'll have a popcorn and candy bar and a costume contest and a whole lot more. And that'll be on Saturday, October 29th at the library. I know how it is. Nona Brewer has a birthday today. Lynn Harrison has a birthday today. Jerry Dodd has a birthday today. And Elizabeth Dominguez has a birthday today. So happy birthday to Nona, Lynn, Jerry, and Elizabeth, who are all celebrating the birthdays today. School calendar, there is no school. It is Indigenous Peoples Day in New Mexico. JV Volleyball will be hosting Roswell. That'll be at 4:30 this afternoon. And at 9 o'clock this morning, if you hear some music and see some band kids in the parking lot behind the auditorium, it's marching contest rehearsal, 9 to 11:30 today. So they're going to be out practicing for tomorrow. Again, they start with the smaller class up to the big class. 2A Capitan will be the first performer tomorrow at 5:45. Then it's 4A, Goddard, Artesia, Lovington, and Portales. And then it's 5A, Hobbs, Carlsbad, and Rosberg. Tomorrow at the pit. Okay, let's take the breaks. These folks have some important words for you to pay attention to, so listen.
There's at least one thing most New Mexicans agree on. Our schools have a long way to go. That's why Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is breathing new life into public education with initiatives that support our children from their first baby steps to promising career paths. Like expanding in-home family services, early childhood, and pre-K, so thousands more kids will go off to school healthy and ready to learn. And attracting new teachers by raising salaries to the highest in the Southwest. It's already paying off by recruiting hundreds of new teachers to our classrooms this year. And she is cutting teacher paperwork and administrative burdens by 41%, so they have more time to teach our children. Thanks to the governor's new Opportunity Scholarships, any New Mexican can now attend a state college for free to earn a certificate or degree in a wide range of high-demand fields. After 2 tough years, we're finally making progress in education. We can't afford to go back to the failed policies of the past.
Paid for by New Mexicans for Michelle.
Approved by Michelle Lujan Grisham.
Jennifer from Trustmark Roofing here, and I can tell you it's not always easy being a female in a male-dominated business like roofing. I remember one time I was at a meeting to bid on the roof for a local college, and it was me and 13 men. Well, I won that bid, and I'd like to win your business too. My dad was a contractor, and I've been around building and roofing my whole life. I'm licensed and bonded, and I've forgotten more about roofing than most roofers ever knew in the first place. But what really sets Trustmark apart is an obsessive attention to detail that ensures that everything goes smoothly the first time. I promise we will treat you right with respect and we will make you happy. So yeah, it might be a bit odd for a woman to own a roofing company, but give us a try. Let us give you an estimate for your roof. I think you'll be glad you called. For all your roofing needs, call us at 575-755-ROOF or find us online at trustmarkroofpros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
Good morning, this is Smiley Wooten at the Roswell Livestock Auction. A good October run this week following some nice soaking fall rains in the drawing area and a good selection of all classes of cattle, especially high quality native calves and light yearlings. We expect to sell 900 head. Break it down like this: 75 to 100 weighing cows and bulls, 25 to 50 pairs bred cows, 750 800 calves and yearlings. Today's sale will include 102 calves, Triple R Ranch, Jowl, New Mexico, X-quality black, white face, Angus and Brangus crosses, Bow-Shield Gold 7-way at Brandon, 350, 550 pounds. 28 calves, Mr. Steve Harkey, Carrizosa, New Mexico, X-quality black, white face, Angus cross calves, medium condition, 400, 550 pounds. 100 calves, Mr. George Costocaridge, Carrizosa, New Mexico, quality black, white face, Angus crossbred calves, Bow-Shield Gold 7-way at Brandon, 350, 575 pounds. 67 calves, Lisa Geica, here north of Roswell, excellent quality black Angus cross calves, Virus Shield 6, Enforce 3 and 7-way, 550, 700 pounds. 30 steer calves, Mr. Jordan Johnson at Lake Arthur, New Mexico, quality black, white face, Angus cross calves, shots at Brandon, 400, 500 pounds. 44 calves and light yearlings, Mr. Larry Baldwin, Fort Davis, Texas, quality black, white face, Angus cross calves, 550, 700 pounds. And 19 yearlings, Mr. Walter Klein at Marfa, Texas, quality black Angus cross yearlings, medium condition, right off grass, 650, 850 pounds. Sale time this morning, 9 o'clock. Sell pairs bred cows 9:30. Be selling calves and yearlings about 9:45 to 10. We are light on cows today, so don't be late. We expect to sell 900 head. This is Smiley Wooten, Roswell Livestock Auction.
Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye.
Hey, we're back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. Just some other stuff happening you might have an interest in. There's a COVID-19 booster clinic tomorrow. Lowell's Pharmacy is putting this on 8 to 11 tomorrow morning at CVE's Jack Case Community Room. It's the new Moderna booster, which includes the Omicron variants. And it's for patients 18 years and older. Flu shots for Medicare patients will also be available. Absentee voting and in-person early voting begins tomorrow. If you want to be registered to vote in this election, in the midterm election, you need to get registered today. Go by the chamber. If you don't know where to go by the chamber. They can register you to vote. If they're open today, it's a holiday. Could be an issue. But anyway, get registered to vote. Expanded early voting starts on Saturday the 22nd. And then Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th. And in-person voting on Election Day is 7 to 7. Yeah, I mentioned that the chamber, the deadline to register update is October 11 when early voting begins. So you need to get registered. I mentioned the band marching festival that's coming up. Let's see, Mom's Life Artesia. When's their next one? October 11. That's tomorrow. This is at Faith Baptist Church, 401 South 20th. By the way, you can actually get there now. The 20th and Grand is open. And we went to the where'd we go? Did we go to the Walmart last night? I think we went to the Walmart last night. The chamber is open today, by the way. I just got a note from Jessica, so if you want to get registered to vote, you can go by the chamber today. Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate that. So going back to the voting, if you need to get registered to vote so you can vote in the midterm, you can go by the chamber today and get registered to vote. Mom's Life Artesia, that's at Faith Baptist Church. It meets on Tuesday mornings the second and fourth Tuesday. So tomorrow is the second Tuesday. So the October meetings are the 11th and 25th. Coffee, speakers, small groups, crafts. There's child care provided, infants through age 4. There's nursery care, 5 to 10. There's gym play and a short lesson. And 11 plus, there's space to work on homeschool material. So it'll be child care check-in at 8:30, and then the meeting's 8:45 to 10:45. So Mom's Life Artesia tomorrow, Tuesday. Tomorrow will be preschool story time at the library, 10 a.m., ages 3 to 5, stories and language activities, along with STEM learning, crafts, music, and social play. ENMU Roswell Community College to hold their October board meeting on Wednesday, October 12th at 4 p.m. And the agenda should be up there on the website today or tomorrow, roswell.enmu.edu. If you'd like to make a public comment during the meeting, you can call Dina, 575-624-7345. Blood drives. What do we have this week for blood drives? And we'll move on. Where's my clock? There's my clock. Okay. Yep, let me do the blood drives and then we'll move on. Let's see, there's a blood drive tomorrow. Yeah, looks like there are 2 blood drives this week that Vitalent is conducting out and about in the community. Tomorrow, Tuesday, October 13. Wait a minute. No, Thursday, October 13. They'll be at the Vitalent offices in Roswell, 11 to 3. And then on Saturday, the 15th, they'll be at Air Methods sponsor, Carlsbad Medical Center dining room. So you can give blood and have a sandwich. 10 to 2 on Saturday down in Carlsbad. As always, if you have any questions or want to schedule an appointment, you can call or text Stephanie at 575-840-8178. And then October 14, which is this Friday, the second Friday of every month, will be the United Way of Eddy County drive-through food distribution at Faith Baptist Church parking lot at 8:30. And then they'll head down to Carlsbad to the Epworth United Methodist Church for a 10 a.m. distribution. That'll be this Friday. Friday is also the Lions Club annual tailgate, 4 to 6:30, in the parking lot of the APS administration building, the one that's in between the the auditorium, the pit, and the admin building. And they'll be doing that. $10 hamburgers. You can get them at Artesia Ford. Your tickets. Art in the Park is this weekend, the 14th and 15th. So and it's a 2-day event. It'll be Friday and Saturday. So I think that covers everything that's going on this week that I have. Now, if there's something else going on and you'd like us to put it on the radio, I think it's calendar at ksvpradio.com. All right, let's get Jared in here, see what he's found out there in the world. We've got sports. We've got Kim Commando with the tech tip, so don't go away.
Now for your Pecos Valley news update, I'm Jared Cirillo. Chavez County authorities are said to be searching for a woman believed to be involved in a murder case. Brittany Chips is described as a person of interest in the homicide case of Enrique Plasencia Jr. No other details were provided. Chavez County Sheriff Mike Harrington also asking for volunteers to help out with the department's annual Trunk or Treat events. Harrington is asking for donations of bags of candy before this Friday. If you can donate any bags of candy, they can be dropped off at the sheriff's office front desk. And 3,200 acres of New Mexico's public land could be sold for oil and gas drilling in 2023. The BLM said this week it intended to lease thousands of acres in the southeast corner of the state within the Permian Basin oil fields. The BLM is seeking public comments for a lease sale that's planned for May of next year. You're up to date. I'm Jared Cirillo reporting.
Lowell's Pharmacy in Artesia will be holding a COVID-19 booster clinic Tuesday, October 11th, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Jack Case Community Room at Central Valley Electric Cooperative. The vaccine is the new Moderna booster, including the Omicron variants, available for patients 18 years of age and older. Flu shots for Medicare patients will also be available. That's a COVID-19 booster clinic conducted by Lowell's Pharmacy, Tuesday, October 11th, 8 to 11 a.m. at CVE's Jack Case Community Community Room.
It's time for the Eddy County Sports Report. Well, we don't have any football scores to report for you from over the weekend. Artesia had a bye. Loving had a bye this past weekend. The only game that was played among the three high schools in Eddy County was Carlsbad High, but they played on Thursday night. Remember that big victory on the road in Las Cruces against Oregon Mountain. So, everybody else took the weekend off too, except for one team. That is the Artesia boys soccer team, and maybe they wish they hadn't played. They took on Goddard's on Saturday and lost by a score of 6-2. Artesia is now 11-7 overall, 1-3 in district. They've got to win their last two just to break even in district, and Thursday will be a tough one against Lovington, the district leader. That's Thursday night at 6 o'clock in Lovington. The sports report brought to you by DSI. Call DSI for all your office technology needs. I'm Eric Butler at KSVP Radio AM 990.
If you think you're seeing more advertisements on Instagram, it's not your imagination. Profits are way down, and Meta shareholders are demanding a quick fix. I'm Kim Commando, brought to you by ExpressVPN. Secure online data and get an extra 3 months free at expressvpn.com/Kim. There's a panic at Meta, owners of Facebook and Instagram. Last week, Wall Street stocks tumbled. Meta led the way by dropping 20.4%, its worst one-day loss ever. And that's on top of Meta's 50% loss so far this year. So the brains at Meta plan to barrage users with more ads each time they sign in. But these kinds of knee-jerk reactions have unintended consequences. Instagram users continue their exit to TikTok. So instead of generating more money, more ads drive even more Instagram users away even faster. This could trigger a kind of death spiral as the company places more and more ads and more customers fall away. Get my new daily podcast for more tech know-how. It's perfect for walks and drives. Call Kim Commando today. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates worth interviewing. Did you know every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Kim. That's linkedin.com/Kim to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. The address again, linkedin.com/Kim, linkedin.com/Kim.
Turpinning and Son Mortuary of Artesia presents a listing of today's obituaries. Graveside services are scheduled for 2 p.m. today at Woodbine Cemetery for Jackie Lee Smedley, who passed away on October 4th at the age of 73. Mike Adams will officiate at the services. Jackie passed away October 4th at his home, surrounded by his loved ones at 73. He was born in February 1949. The son of Leela Darlene Briscoe Smedley and James William Smedley. Jackie served 3 tours in the Vietnam War. He served as infantry and airborne rangers. After he served his country, he came back to Artesia, where he worked in the oil field and was a truck driver. Jackie enjoyed riding horses, reading and watching westerns, and spending time with his family. His pride and joy were his grandkids and great-grandkids. He was preceded in death by both parents and brother Darrell Smedley. He is survived by his brother, Joy Smedley, and wife Kay of Kane, Utah, son Joy Smedley, and a daughter, Jennifer Smedley of Artesia, son Bill Smedley of Odessa, Texas, and daughter Marissa Wilson of Artesia, New Mexico. Also surviving are 9 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren. Once again, graveside services are at 2 p.m. today at Woodbine Cemetery for Jackie Lee Smedley, who passed away October 4th at his home in Artesia at the age of 73. Funeral services are pending for Susan Quezada of Artesia, New Mexico. Susan passed away October 6th at the age of 32. Again, services are pending for Susan Elaine Quezada. And this reminder, a memorial graveside service will take place at 3 p.m. on Wednesday, October 12th at Woodbine Cemetery for Lucille Ethel Atcherson of Artesia, New Mexico. Mrs. Atcherson died September 1st in Lubbock, Texas at the age of 78. Again, her graveside service will be at 3 p.m. Wednesday at Woodbine Cemetery. This listing has been presented as a service of Turpinning & Son Mortuary of Artesia, where we make it personal. All right, let's get Steve-O in here. Is it going to keep raining, or is it ever going to get to where we get the sun?
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Low pressure over western Texas and southern New Mexico, and a lot of moist air available, so scattered showers and thunderstorms coming up for us today. It'll be cloudy, and that'll keep our afternoon high in the low 70s. Some showers and thunderstorms continuing overnight, and will drop to about 55, and then high pressure takes over the weather pattern on Tuesday. Upper 70s and sunny. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Okay, sorry about that. I had the singing parrot. I thought he was going to sing more, but he's done singing. 60. Okay, we got the highs and lows and the rainfalls and all that good stuff. That's what I was doing. I was getting that all written down. Cloudy, 54 at this hour. Could see some light shower activity in the noon o'clock hour, and then it should all move out of here just in time for Monday Night Football. That'll be nice. 54 and cloudy. We've got humidity at 94%. The dew point is 53. Calm northerly winds. Look, there's some rain east of town. On our, if you're watching online, there's some raindrops, or it may not be rain. It could just be moisture dripping off the roof out there in front of the camera. Is where it very well could be out there east of town. I bet that's what it is. I bet it's not rain. I bet it's just really, really humid out there, and raindrops are falling off the roof. Let's see. Go ahead, barking guy.
I just agree with you.
Oh, you just agreeing with me? Oh, well, that's nice. Thank you. Let's see here. We have air quality is 38, which is good. We had a high yesterday of 68. I'm not looking. Somehow I woke up Siri. High yesterday was 68. The overnight low was 53. 1 year ago, we had a high of 93 and a low of 52. The minimum 4-inch soil temps are between 60 and 66 degrees. Over the weekend, we had 0.3 of an inch on Friday, Saturday morning at 7. We had 0.05 inches of rain as of 7 a.m. Sunday. And as of 7 a.m. this morning, another 0.02 inches of rain. So that's 0.37 inches of rain over the last couple of days. We are up to 9.65 inches of rain for the year. Around the region, cloudy, 55 in Carlsbad, 54 in Roswell, 56 in Hobbs. Around New Mexico, partly cloudy, 47 in Albuquerque, sunny and 42 in Santa Fe, but they could see some rain this morning. Mostly cloudy, 42 in Cloudcroft. It is mostly cloudy, 52 in Las Cruces, sunny and 45 in Farmington, 33 at Red River, 53 in Clovis. And in West Texas at this hour, cloudy and 55 in Lubbock, partly cloudy and 56 in El Paso. Again, here in Artesia, cloudy and 54. Barking Guy is in the house. He can't wait to bark. We're going to get the Wall Street Business Report on here and come back and do some barking in just a minute.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bernie Bennett. Wall Street lost more ground on worries that a still strong U.S. job markets may actually make a recession more likely. The S&P 500 fell 2.8% Friday after the government said employers hired more workers last month than expected.
The government's report showed that last month's job growth was down from 315,000 in August and that the unemployment rate fell to 3.5%. Slower job growth would mean less pressure on employers to raise pay and pass those costs on to their customers.
Correspondent Jeremy House reporting. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and the NASDAQ also fell sharply and Treasury yields rose. Stocks have tumbled over 20% from records this year on worries about inflation, interest rates, and the possibility of a recession. Crude oil continued its sharp climb Friday and is heading into its biggest weekly gain since March. Benchmark U.S. crude oil jumped 4.7% to settle at $92.64 per barrel. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bernie Bennett in Washington.
There's at least one thing most New Mexicans agree on. Our schools have a long way to go. That's why Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is breathing new life into public education with initiatives that support our children from their first baby steps to promising career paths. Like expanding in-home family services, early childhood and pre-K, so thousands more kids will go off to school healthy and ready to learn. And attracting new teachers by raising salaries to the highest in the Southwest. It's already paying off by recruiting hundreds of new teachers to our classrooms this year. And she is cutting teacher paperwork and administrative burdens by 41%, so they have more time to teach our children. Thanks to the governor's new Opportunity Scholarships, any New Mexican can now attend a state college for free to earn a certificate or degree in a wide range of high-demand fields. After 2 tough years, we're finally making progress in education. We can't afford to go back to the failed policies of the past.
Paid for by New Mexicans for Michelle.
Approved by Michelle Lujan Grisham.
In volatile times, it's natural to worry about your retirement.
Hon, I'm worried about our retirement account.
With today's economy, it just makes sense to keep your retirement money close to home with people you know. We have several guaranteed safe options. Peace of mind with retirement savings. It just makes sense. Western Bank of Artesia, member FDIC. It just makes sense.
Welcome to Answers with Ken Ham, presented by the Coalition of Christians for Biblical Creation and Fulkerson Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. CCBC is an interdenominational coalition of Christians from Artesia who believe that the account of origins presented in Genesis is a simple but factual presentation of actual events. Answers with Ken Ham is brought to you by Fulkerson Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your best bet yet for great service. For over 41 years, thousands of customers have chosen Fulkerson. Call 622-1600 or visit www.fulkersonplumbing.com. Now, today's Answers with Ken Ham.
A complete canon. This is Ken Ham, CEO of the ministry behind the popular Answers Bible curriculum. The 66 books of the Bible are called the canon of Scripture. This refers to a complete set of works, but also that these works are consistent with each other. So the canon of Scripture is the complete, internally consistent Word of God. But are there books that got left out of the Bible? We'll look at this claim this week, but as we do, keep in mind what God promises about His Word. It will stand forever. It will all be accomplished, and it is God-breathed. The Bible gives us what we need for godly living, and it will accomplish its purpose. Certainly, God who makes such claims about His Word would ensure the canon of Scripture was accurate.
Discover the truth of God's Word and the gospel message at AnswersRadio.com and listen to this program again or view a full transcript when you visit us at AnswersRadio.com.
Barking guys back in the house. Let's see. Let me finish this text. May I?
Sure.
What are you up for? Question mark. Okay. Get a hold of our cameraman and saying, okay, here's what we have this week. What can you do?
Yep.
And I think I know what he's going to do. He's going to do tonight, and he's going to do Thursday, and he's going to do Friday. But I don't know if he can do tomorrow night. But that's what we're adding on to the thing. So anyway, Barking Guy's here, and it's good to see you back in town, and good to hear your barking at the soccer game. You know, it got Artesia boys hosted Goddard Saturday.
Yes.
Goddard jumps up, Artesia ties it. It got really exciting there when Artesia tied it up, and then just Goddard kind of left us in the rubber pellets, if you would, for the win that game. But you've got all the results, so let's start. You want to begin with what happened last week in Bulldog Sports?
Yep.
Okay.
With football.
All right.
Pierre Leva, 16, 8th grade Orange 14. That's a coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Okay.
Now Ninth grade Orange 35, Goddard nothing. Clovis 28, JV 10. Boys soccer, Artesia 5, Portales 0. Goddard 1, JV 0. The game was scoreless until the last few minutes of the game. Tough loss for the JV. Goddard 6, Artesia 2. It was 2-0 Goddard at the half. Then we tie it up. Then Goddard scores 4 unanswered goals. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Girls soccer, the Thursday game with Lovington is rescheduled for this Thursday. Volleyball, Artesia beat Ruidoso 3-0. Coda Beltran had 4 aces in a row, including the match winner. Artesia beat Hobbs 3-2. In the 5th set, it was 13-11 Dogs. Elena Harvey's kill sets up Laura Wagner's with the match-winning serve. And then it was Dora beating Lake Arthur 3-0 in the inaugural Lake Arthur varsity versus alumni volleyball match. The varsity won. The score's not available. The proceeds went to one of Lake Arthur School's employees' mom, who was battling cancer.
Oh, well, that was nice.
Yeah, it was a pink out. That was their pink out game.
Okay.
So that's what they raised money for. Tailgate.
Now, this was at the volleyball game?
Yeah, there was a volleyball game.
Right, the one against Hobbs?
No, this was Lake Arthur.
Oh, Lake Arthur. Lake Arthur, gotcha.
This is in Lake Arthur.
Okay, gotcha. Very good. Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah. I think the Hobbs, that was also pink out.
Mm-hmm. It was, definitely.
Tailgate information. We got one left, October 14th versus Roswell. That's the Lions. 27th annual, 4 to 6:30 p.m. at Bulldog Boulevard by the Auditorium. $10 buys you a hamburger, chips, drink, and dessert. I got my ticket from Perry Connor at Artesia Ford.
Well, I bet that made Robbie perturbed at you. Don't you always buy your tickets from Robbie?
I do, but Robbie wasn't there.
Ah, okay.
And Perry was there, and Perry could sell me a ticket.
Of course he could. That's good.
Let's see. We got this. Early voting starts October the 11th. That's tomorrow.
Right.
In Eddy County, there are 2 places you can early vote. Clerk's office at 325 South Main Street in Carlsbad, and the county sub-office 602 South First Street in Artesia. And the hours for both locations from October the 11th to 21st, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. For October 22nd, November 5th, I'll talk about that later when the time next week. I'll talk about that.
Okay.
In Chaves County, there are 3 places to early vote, but only one of them is open during the October 11th to 21st. So I'll talk about that one. That's the clerk's office at number 1 St. Mary's Place in Roswell, and they're open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. through the Monday through Friday through the 21st. Voting in conjunction with football. You can vote before the polls close, then go to the game.
Okay.
October 14th. I'll talk about October 14th. I won't talk about the other 2 weekends, but until they come. But October 14th, we got Artesia versus Roswell, Goddard versus Mayfield, Nimmy versus Dexter. So if you're going to any one of these games, go vote. You have to vote in your county. So Eddy County, for the Artesia Roswell, you'd vote in Artesia. If you're Roswell, you can vote at St. Mary's, and then come down to the game.
That's right. On your way to watching the football game on Friday night.
Yep.
We need to go to news.
Yep.
If we may.
Yep.
And then we'll continue on with ways you can vote. Now, you can only vote once.
Yep.
Legally.
Yep.
I'll have tips on how. No, I'm just kidding. News is next on KSVP Artesia.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Amid high taxes and rising crime, another big business is leaving Chicago and is, in fact, exiting the state of Illinois.
Chicken giant Tyson Foods says they're done with the Windy City, and starting next year, they'll be shutting down offices downtown and a suburb and moving them to their complex in Arkansas. About 1,000 employees affected. Tyson joins a growing list that includes aircraft maker Boeing and construction manufacturer Caterpillar, moving to Arlington, Virginia, and North Texas, respectively. Crime in the city has seemingly run rampant under Progressive Mayor Lori Lightfoot's administration. Rhonda Rockstra reporting.
2 people shot and injured yesterday outside the Long Island home of GOP Congressman and New York gubernatorial candidate Lee Zeldin. Zeldin says police tell him the shooting had nothing to do with him or his family.
What we have been told from the Suffolk County Police Department is that the answer that their belief is that the answer is no.
In Zeldin's words, like so many New Yorkers, crime has literally made its way to our front door. Multiple cities across Ukraine have been rocked by explosions, including Russian missile strikes on Kiev for the first time in months. The BBC's Hugo Bishega was reporting live from a hotel rooftop in the Ukrainian capital when another Russian missile struck.
We saw yesterday that a residential area of the city of Zaporizhia, a major city in the south of the country, very close to the front lines, was hit. More than a dozen.
The reporter forced to take shelter from the renewed onslaught by the Russian military. Watching Wall Street, stocks opened higher this morning. Now they have turned mixed. Right now, the Dow is up 43 points, while the Nasdaq is down 71, and the S&P trading 9 points lower. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Charlie Dombeck here from Key City Capital. As a practicing CPA for nearly 30 years, I have found that 80% of your ability to grow your wealth is dependent upon 2 factors: taxes and investment performance. At Key City Capital, we improve investment performance by diversifying capital into off-market investment opportunities in passive rental real estate and alternatives like asset-backed lending. We recover dollars that clients unnecessarily pay in the form of income taxes, creating a lifetime annuity of savings. We are a sponsor of passive, affordable single and multifamily residential rental investments, which are located in Sunbelt landlord-friendly states. These investments are the top choices in a rising interest rate and inflationary environment. They represent a store of value, protecting your capital from market volatility. Learn how we at Key City Capital can help you ultimately grow your wealth rapidly. Connect with me at keycitycapital.com or give me a call at 817-912-1569.
UK government ministers have implored Conservative colleagues to support their leaders.
British Prime Minister Liz Truss has had a rocky start to her premiership. A misfiring economic plan marred Truss's tumultuous first month in office and threw her party into disarray. Cabinet Minister Nadhim Zahawi said with 2 years until the next general election, the party should start rallying behind Truss to ensure they're re-elected. The pleas for unity come as lawmakers are set to return to Parliament from a 2-week break. Karen Chavas, London.
Chinese cities imposing fresh lockdowns and travel restrictions after the number of new daily COVID cases tripled during a week-long holiday ahead of a major Communist Party meeting in Beijing next week. China, where COVID-19 got its start, one of the few places in the world still resorting to harsh measures, steps that are aimed at keeping the COVID-19 virus from spreading. News and analysis, townhall.com. Mesa, Arizona, the scene of the latest Trump rally. It was held last night. The former president telling a huge crowd that Democrat economic policies have been a disaster for the country.
Inflation is costing the typical Arizona family almost $1,000 a month. Think of that, over $11,000 a year.
Mr. Trump's been holding rallies ahead of next month's crucial midterms, pushing for the GOP to regain control of the House and the Senate. He adds it's crucial for a Republican to win the White House in 2024. CNN has pulled a story on the massacre of preschoolers in Thailand and has apologized after some of its personnel entered the daycare center where the children were killed and filmed the crime scene without authorization. Once again on Wall Street this hour, the Dow trading 43 points higher. higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Today is Columbus Day, a federal holiday in the United States which officially celebrates the anniversary of Christopher Columbus' arrival in the Americas in October 1492. Christopher Columbus led a Spanish enterprise to cross the Atlantic Ocean in search of an alternative route to the Far East, only to land in the New World. The first Columbus Day celebration took place in 1792 when the Columbian Order of New York, better known as Tammany Hall, held an event to commemorate the 300th anniversary of the historic landing. Happy Columbus Day, one and all.
They see me mowing my front lawn. I know they're all thinking I'm so white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy? Look at me, I'm white and nerdy. I wanna roll with the gangsters, but so far they all think I'm too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. I'm just too white and nerdy. Really, really white and nerdy.
Hey, it's 8:06. We are back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. The Barking Guy's here. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you, Gene?
Oh, man, it's a Monday. I was sitting here. I printed out my sample ballot. This is my sample ballot for me, so it's based on my voter registration information, which I have not moved, and I've not made any other changes. But for those people who are either not registered or maybe have moved, or there's been a change in their location, which would affect which precincts and districts they're in, you need to get registered or have your registration updated by tomorrow, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And I know
Chamber can do it.
Chamber can do it. I got a note from Jessica that they are open today. So if you need to get that done. Now, what you can do is you can go online to the Secretary of State's website. That's what I did. My thumb got in the way of the camera. And I went to, it's voter, let's see if this is right. Yes. Okay, so it's sos.state.nm.us. And then you're going to look for voter information portal. And then once you find the voter information portal, here's the general election candidate list. Here's the button you click or the box you click if you need to register to vote. And then there's a box for find my registration and election information. And if you've already registered in New Mexico previously, that's the box that you check. And then once you've done that, up comes your general information, and it will tell you what districts you're in. It'll have your address where you're registered to vote, or I mean address that you used when you registered to vote. And then it'll have your status, it'll have your status reason, it'll have your party, it'll have your precinct. And then, for example, congressional district. I live in Artesia. My congressional district is District 3. My conservancy district is CD5. My counselor is District 3. My county commissioner is District 3. So all that information is up there for you, and I think you have to have your name, the date of birth, the name that you're registered under, of course.
Yeah.
Your date of birth and the county that you reside in.
Yep.
And then all of that information will come up for you. And then with the election set, I mean, the candidates are set on the election for the November election, you can click on My Sample Ballot, which is what I did. And I even printed it. I have my sample ballot. This is what my ballot's going to be. So I think it's a good idea to do that, to start studying some of the races that you'll get to pick candidates for, and then any of the constitutional amendments and bond issues.
That's right.
Because that will also appear on your sample ballot.
Yep, and vote that too.
Exactly.
Don't just vote for governor and forget it. Vote down the ballot and vote on the constitutional amendments and the bond issues.
That's right. There is a constitutional amendment proposing an amendment to Article 12, Section 7 to provide for additional annual distributions of the Permanent School Fund for enhanced instruction for students at risk of failure, extending the school year, teacher compensation, and early childhood education, requiring congressional approval for distributions for early childhood education.
Yep, that's the one that raids the permanent fund.
That raids the permanent fund. So I know how I'm voting on that one right there. Okay. Constitutional Amendment 2, proposing to amend Article 9, Section 14 of the Constitution of New Mexico to allow public investment to provide access to essential household services, including internet, energy, water, wastewater, and other similar services as provided by law upon the enactment of general implementing legislation by a majority vote of the members elected to each house of the legislature. What on earth is this for?
What that does is weaken the anti-donation clause.
Public investment to provide access to essential household services?
Yeah, what that does is the anti-donation clause prohibits the state from doing that.
Okay.
That will make an exception to the anti-donation clause, so it allows for that.
Well, it has to have a majority vote of each house in order to be enacted, whatever it is that they're going to spend the money on.
Yes, but
Okay.
it still weakens the anti-donation clause.
Constitutional Amendment 3, proposing to amend Article 6, Section 35 of the Constitution of New Mexico to provide that an appointed judge serve at least 1 year before a general election is held for the office to which the judge was appointed. So, say, for example, you had somebody that passed away or left office in, say, June of this year.
That's right.
And the governor appoints somebody to fill out that term. That judge immediately has to run for retention
for election
for the election in that seat. So this says they get to be in there at least a year before that can happen.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. But there's 3 amendments to the Constitution.
3 amendments to the Constitution.
Then there's there's bond question 1, bond 2, bond 3. So there's 3 bond questions that are on there. Bond 1 is usually the general obligation bond. That's for the
senior centers
and stuff. That usually passes. The Capital Projects General Obligation Bond Act, that's number 2.
It's probably for the libraries.
That's for academic, public school, tribal, and public library resources. Those usually pass. And then the 3 is the higher education schools and tribal schools.
That's right.
So those are the 3 bond questions. Senior centers,
libraries,
and
colleges.
Colleges. Libraries and schools and colleges are the bond questions. I hesitate to jump in on constitutional amendments because I figure, depending on the party in power, they're trying to make it legal to do something that they haven't been able to do in the past. But so, that's kind of what's going on here. You've got state auditor, state treasurer, commissioner of public lands. You have state representative. For me, is District 66.
Okay,
depends on where you live, of course.
Yeah, that's Jimmy Mason.
In District 66, running against Andrew Kennedy. Then you have Justice of the Supreme Court, Position 1, Justice of the Supreme Court, Position 2. Judge of the Court of Appeals, Position 1, Judge of the Court of Appeals, Position 2.
That's right.
District Court Judge, and it looks like there's, for me, there are Division 1 and Division 12.
That's right. Division 1, there is a race.
Right.
There's a contested race in Division 1.
Magistrate Judge is on the ballot for me, Division 3.
Yeah, that's Jimmy Foster.
County Clerk, and there's only one candidate for County Clerk.
That's Kara Cook.
County assessor, there's only one name on the ballot for county assessor.
Yeah.
And then the probate judge, there's one name for probate
J.
judge.
Francis.
And then there's 2 judicial retentions on the ballot. Shall Michael E. Vigil be retained as Justice of the Supreme Court? Shall Jane B. Yolam be retained as Judge of the Court of Appeals? Now, my question for Michael E. Vigil is on all of the challenges to the governor's health orders and the business restrictions and all the other kind of stuff, how did Vigil vote? Do we know? Is that information available?
Yeah, they voted to support the governor.
Oh, I understand that, but was it unanimous?
I believe so.
So this gentleman voted for the governor's, for the governor and all these legal challenges?
I believe so.
Okay. See, but these are some of the things that you need to know so that you can formulate your opinion and how you're going to vote in these particular elections. And so that you can fill out your ballot. And the time to do the research is now.
Yep.
Before you go and vote. The high-profile races, people may have decided, I know who I'm voting for governor. I know who I'm voting for Congress. Okay? That's a given. But these constitutional amendments and these down-ballot races, like, do you want to retain Michael E. Vigil, Justice of the Supreme Court? How has he voted on issues that are important to you that have come before the New Mexico Supreme Court? You need to know.
That's right.
You may agree with the decisions that he voted on. You may disagree with the decisions that he voted on, the cases that he voted on. But if you don't know and don't do the research, you're either not going to vote or you're going to make a uninformed vote on that. In other words, you're not going to vote for that. You know, you don't have to fill out a circle in every race that's on the ballot. But how does not voting help or hurt the cause, if you will? And so it's the same thing with the Supreme Court judge retention. How has this judge voted when cases that you find of importance and interest have come before the New Mexico Supreme Court? Have you supported the case? Have you supported the decisions that the judge has made? Then you need to vote to retain him. But if there's decisions that he's been making and you're going, that's crazy, then you need to vote not to retain him. But you need to know before you go in and vote. Does that sound like a common sense thing to?
Yes.
Okay. So it's another reason to go online and print out your ballot. And so you can start the process now before you go in and vote, whether it's early absentee or early voting or absentee voting or in-person voting.
That's right.
That's coming up. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to fill out my ballot. It's going to be sitting up here in the if anybody needs any help. But there's things on here I can't vote for yet because I need to know more about what's going on. You know? But then again, there's other factors that you look at. Like a lot of people look at party affiliation. They don't necessarily learn about the candidates individually, but they vote based on the party affiliation. Now, you can't straight party vote in New Mexico. That was taken away. I don't know if taken away is the proper term. They eliminated that years ago. So you can't, there's not a box that says I vote for all Republican or I vote for all Democrat. That does not exist on the ballot. So you do have to go race by race, category by category, and either choose to vote, pick one of the candidates that's listed, or choose not to vote. What's interesting is there's a guy running for Commissioner of Public Lands that's running as a write-in.
Yes.
And on that race, there's a third option for write-in. And I'm wondering, I guess that's a function of how it's put together. If there isn't a certified write-in candidate for that race, then they don't put that option on the ballot. But what would be interesting is if the write-in candidate option was on all the races, and you get to the governor's race, and this could be good, this could be bad. So if you get to the governor's race and you've got Karen Yvette Bedoni, is that right?
Yeah.
Bedoni, Mark V. Ronchetti, and Michelle Lujan Grisham, and then write-in candidate for governor, you wonder if enough people wrote the same name. How would you like to be one of these three candidates and come in behind Mickey Mouse? Wouldn't that be funny? I finished fourth in a three-person race. I finished behind Goofy. So, anyway, Barking Guy's here, and let's see. Let's do the weather.
Okay.
We'll talk kith and kin, and then we'll get back into your report. Is that okay?
All right.
All right. Hang on here. Is it gonna rain today?
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Low pressure over western Texas and southern New Mexico, and a lot of moist air available, so scattered showers and thunderstorms coming up for us today. It'll be cloudy, and that'll keep our afternoon high in the low 70s. Some showers and thunderstorms continuing overnight, and will drop to about 55, and then high pressure takes over the weather pattern on Tuesday, upper 70s and sunny. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
That's one place to research. Barking Guy was telling me off air that if you want to learn about the constitutional amendments, there's a lot of places you can go to. What's the one that you said that does some...
New Mexico Business Coalition, or Better Together New Mexico.
Okay, they have an analysis of the amendments that,
yes.
That you can review if you'd like. Let's see here. I sent out a picture of Jerry Jones adjusting his pants. See that? To my Cowboys friends, they're doing pretty good. Cowboys are doing pretty good right now. They won again yesterday. They beat the L.A. Rams, which I believe won the Super Bowl last year. So they beat the defending Super Bowl champ L.A. Rams. They lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, corn farmers. Let's see. I have people telling me when they're going to be on the radio. It doesn't work that way.
No.
What was I looking up? What were we talking about? I forget what we were talking about.
Voting.
Voting and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, Kith and Kin is our breakfast sponsor for today. Let's see what we have. It smells good. Did you smell that when Tana brought it in? Yeah, I smell breakfast sandwiches here. I smell goodness. I smell sausage. You know what? If you want to make sure you don't have COVID, go into Kith and Kin and just go. See, I have napkins, heavy-duty napkins here, which we're going to need, and a thank you sack, which I'm going to recommend that we get a bunch of these and put them in our trailers, and that way when the rain is out and things leak, I don't get panicked call from electrified DJs saying it's raining in here and I don't know how to keep stuff dry. Okay, what do we have here? Oh, look at this. A ham croissant. Doesn't that look wonderful?
Yes.
Let me hold that up to the camera there. So Jeffrey, I don't know if you want to go to ISO on me so you can show that. Maybe not. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Doesn't that look delicious there? Okay, let's try another one here. Oh, bacon and cheese on a hoagie. Look at that. Oh my gosh, look at that bacon. It's thick bacon, not that cheap stuff that you get at like some places. Big, thick slabs of bacon. Yes. Oh, look at this. Bagel, turkey, and cheese. Hold that one up to the camera there. Oh. Smells wonderful there, Barking Guy. You're going to have a tough time trying to decide what to get, aren't you?
Yeah.
And is this the sausage? Yes.
Probably is.
Yep, there's the sausage on the green chili bun. This one is not getting out for anybody. I'm setting this aside for me. Or do you want half of this one?
No, you can have it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. There's that one there. Kith and Kin, there's a lot of great breakfast sandwiches. You can get a lot of fast food breakfast sandwiches. No question about it. But if you want a real gourmet breakfast, those are shareables, by the way.
Yep.
That's, some places you go and you get a little thing and you go, I'm still hungry. That's not enough. I need more. These, you're going to eat. You can't eat them all in one setting. You have to bring somebody with you or have breakfast for the next couple of days. So go get some of these delicious. They've got the hoagies. They've got the bagels. They've got the croissants. They've got the ham, the cheese, the bacon, the sausage. Get your breakfast sandwiches at Kith and Kin. You're a big fan of Kith and Kin, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah, so there you go. All right, where were we? We were talking about elections, voting, voter registration.
Yep, voting in conjunction with football.
There you go. Is that where we need to continue?
Yep.
All right.
Remember, Artesia versus Roswell, Goddard versus Mayfield, and Nimmy versus Dexter this week. And registration, go to the chamber. They can register you
today. They're open today.
Let's see, events that I know of. Art in the Park. You can't vote Saturday, but you can vote Friday before you go.
Okay.
This week in old-time radio history. October the 11th, Eleanor Roosevelt was born in 1884. October the 12th, Mr. Keene, Tracer of Lost Persons, premiered in 1937. October the 14th, Dwight D. Eisenhower, 34th President of the U.S., 1953 to 61, was born in 1890. Benita Hume was born in 1906. Lux Radio Theater premiered in 1934. And I got some radio quotes for the week.
All right.
There are headstones in the cemetery of young people.
This is true. This must have been a talk about fentanyl, drugs.
Uh-huh. Nancy Husselman.
Nancy Husselman, that's right. Yes. See, DWIs and so forth. Yep.
We pay the cost for bad policies that happened years ago.
John Henry?
Yep.
All right. I remember him saying that.
We have got to end the dependence on countries that do not share our interests.
Mike Pence.
Yep.
All right. That was
about
from
oil
his,
and gas.
Opening statements. Yep.
Do not vote for one Democrat anywhere.
It could have been anybody.
Hugh Hewitt.
Hugh Hewitt. Okay. Oh, I'm glad Hewitt said that.
I just want people to vote their self-interest this November.
Well, that's true. If they did and not vote for what the party tells them to vote for or what the group think or the media or whatever, who would have said that?
Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly. Okay.
He was a guest on Sean Hannity's.
He's kind of a frequent guest on Sean Hannity.
And he said, I think he's referring to the economy, the border, and crime.
Those should be the big motivating factors for people in the election, in my opinion.
Yep. Here's another one.
All right.
Cost plus COVID.
Ooh. Lou Dobbs?
Nope.
Mark Levin?
Nope. Clay and Buck.
Clay and Buck. Cost plus COVID. Yeah.
About the population decline in California.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. And I think, I can't remember, is New Mexico suffering a loss too? Or have we benefited from California being total idiots?
I think we have declined some, but not enough to decrease the electoral votes.
No. That it did affect California.
It did affect California.
They lost some House seats.
They did
in the realignment there.
And I've got the calendar.
All right, let's do the calendar.
Today, Monday the 10th, Indigenous Peoples Day in New Mexico, Columbus Day federally. No school in Artesia. There is school in Lake Arthur.
Okay.
October the 11th, tomorrow, marching contest. Lake Arthur volleyball versus Floyd.
Good old Floyd.
4:30 for the...
And then he'll cut your hair.
Yep, 4:30 for the middle school and 5:30 for the high school. Junior high 8th grade Orange football versus Mountain View, 4 p.m. Thursday the 13th, Lake Arthur Middle School football versus Dora, 4 p.m. Lake Arthur volleyball versus Elida, 4:30 and 5:30 p.m. Middle school first, then high school. Boys soccer at Lovington, 4 and 6, JV first and varsity. Girls soccer versus Lovington, 4 and 6. JV and varsity volleyball versus Alamogordo, 5:30 and 6:30. Junior high 9th grade Orange football versus Carlsbad, 4 p.m. Friday the 14th, Bulldog football versus Roswell. This is the biggie, 7 p.m. Can vote in conjunction with Bulldog football. Polls close at 5 o'clock. And then get your tailgate and then go into the bowl.
You can economize your travel on Friday.
That's right.
You go vote, you go eat, you go cheer.
That's right.
In that order.
That's right.
Yeah.
In that order.
Yeah. Vote, eat, cheer.
That's right.
That'll be our version of eat, drink, smoke. Call it vote, eat, cheer.
Vote, eat, cheer.
Mm-hmm.
And Saturday the 15th, band cakewalk, art in the park at J.C. Park.
Mm-hmm.
Rodeo at Las Cruces through Sunday. Varsity girls soccer versus Portales, 12 o'clock. And cross country at Albuquerque Academy, 10 a.m.
Maybe they can find all the stolen trucks and trailers from the balloon fiesta while they're out running through the countryside.
Yeah.
Isn't that terrible? Have you seen some of that? Lana's told me some of the stories. Some of these balloon teams, they've broken into and stolen their trailers and their balloons and their memorabilia and stuff like that. It's crazy. Albuquerque's crazy.
It is crazy. And,
yeah.
I had my truck broken into
Yep.
several years ago, and I don't go to Albuquerque.
Big Nate had his broken into, not on one of his recent trips up to Albuquerque.
Just no good. Yeah.
It's way too frequent, and there's no sense of urgency on the part of anybody in authority to try to remove these people from the streets of Albuquerque. So they just run around.
Yep.
And steal things, break things, steal things. It's terrible. Terrible,
Yep.
terrible.
It is terrible.
Yeah. So what's next on your list?
We got it all in.
We got it all in. Okay. So Monday Night Football tonight. Youth
Monday Night
Recreation
Football tonight.
Football, yeah. We'll see what happens tonight. I'm not sure. I have no idea who's playing who. There's 4 teams in the tackle football, 5th and 6th grade division.
Yep.
And so they're going to play each other one time, kind of like our football district. And so they'll do a first round and then they'll do a second round. So after 6 weeks, that they'll have the everybody will have played each other twice. And so last week it was the Kraken and the Young Guns, and then the Tigers and the Future Bulldogs. So I'm not sure who's, how they're matching them up tonight. But should be interesting to see. And if you can't make it, it's going to be on. It'll be on the TV tonight.
Yep, on TV.
Bradley's riding up in the bucket truck.
Uh-huh.
He'll be up amongst the bugs. So, and Joby and Louie will be, they brought out a little platform for him to sit up on. So, that'll be pretty cool.
Yep.
It'll be pretty cool. All right, Barking Guys, is there anything else we need to cover today?
Go Dogs. Arf!
And go register to vote.
Go register to vote. If you have not registered, go do it today. Chamber is open. I can even register you.
I got a note. You can go by Benny's. I think there's a registrar there too, so you can get registered to vote at, Any one of those ways.
That's right.
All right. Thank you, Barking Guy.
You're welcome.
Enjoy. Have you picked out a sandwich yet? You're thinking about it right now?
Thinking about it.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go get some of that coffee because this cup is empty. All right. News is next on Good Morning Artesia.
Now for your Pecos Valley news update, I'm Jared Cirillo. Chavez County authorities are said to be searching for a woman believed to be involved in a murder case. Brittany Chips is described as a person of interest in the homicide case of Enrique Plasencia Jr. No other details were provided. Chavez County Sheriff Mike Harrington also asking for volunteers to help out with the department's annual Trunk or Treat events. Harrington is asking for donations of bags of candy before this Friday. If you can donate any bags of candy, they can be dropped off at the sheriff's office front desk. And 3,200 acres of New Mexico's public land could be sold for oil and gas drilling in 2023. The BLM said this week it intended to lease thousands of acres in the southeast corner of the state within the Permian Basin oil fields. The BLM is seeking public comments for a lease sale that's planned for May of next year. You're up to date. I'm Jared Cirillo reporting.
It's time for the Eddy County Sports Report. Well, we don't have any football scores to report for you from over the weekend. Artesia had a bye. Loving had a bye this past weekend. The only game that was played among the three high schools in Eddy County was Carlsbad High, but they played on Thursday night. Remember that big victory on the road in Las Cruces against Oregon Mountain. So everybody else took the weekend off too, except for one team. That is the Artesia boys soccer team, and maybe they wish they hadn't played. They took on Goddard's on Saturday and lost by a score of 6-2. Artesia is now 11-7 overall, 1-3 in district. They've got to win their last two just to break even in district, and Thursday will be a tough one against Lovington, the district leader. That's Thursday night at 6 o'clock in Lovington. The sports report brought to you by DSI. Call DSI for all your office technology needs. I'm Eric Butler at KSVP Radio AM 990.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Wall Street bracing for the September jobs report. IBM focused on artificial intelligence, and cannabis stocks are soaring. Those stories next. Inflation's at a 40-year high. Interest rates are through the roof, and your retirement accounts are especially vulnerable. That's why the precious metal dealers at American Hartford Gold will show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by adding physical gold and silver to your portfolio. Get started with just a quick text to Lou, L-O-U, at 998-899, and American Hartford Gold will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your front door or deposited to your IRA or 401k. It's that easy. And for a limited time, when you text LOU to 998-899, American Hartford Gold will give you up to $1,500 of free silver on your first qualifying order. Text Lou now to 998-899. That's LOU to 998-899. And see what American Hartford Gold can do for you. Once again, text Lou to 998-899. Now, investors are anxiously awaiting today's jobs report, looking for more signs the labor market is loosening. Economists targeting 250,000 jobs added last month. If that forecast holds up, it would mark the lowest monthly jobs increase since September of 2020. The unemployment rate, meanwhile, forecast to hold steady at 3.7%. The market coming off its second straight losing day after last week's initial jobless claims came in higher than expected. IBM investing $20 billion into quantum computing and chip manufacturing in New York. The company says it will focus on chips for artificial intelligence platforms. IBM stock down nearly 3%. Cannabis stocks are climbing higher. Shares of Tilray Brands up 30% yesterday. Canopy growth up 22%. The cannabis industry getting a boost from President Biden's announcement that he will pardon some federal marijuana offenders. Please join me 3 times each weekday right here on this station. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
I'm sure he will. Back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. And again, Barking Guy and I talked a lot about the importance of registering to vote, getting your sample ballot, studying the issues, the candidates, learning about the candidates, what issues are important to you, and if there's an incumbent, how have they voted in the past along the lines of what you would like them to do. And if they're a new candidate, What do you know about their background? What do you know about their story? What's their story? There are 3 constitutional amendments that will be on the ballot, and there are 3 bond questions that are on the ballots. Do you support the bonds, which allow the state to sell the bonds to raise money for different capital outlay projects around the state? Do you support or are you opposed to the constitutional amendments? Constitutional Amendment 1 is basically, as I'm reading it, is the let's let the governor raid the permanent fund amendment. I don't believe in my heart of hearts, when the permanent fund was established, at any point in time, when the creation, discussion, concept, the funding of the permanent fund came up, that the use of those dollars was for salaries. I don't think that's what the permanent fund's for. But that's what they want to do. Our governor's been talking about wanting to do that her whole term. We need access to more of that money to fund education. And, you know, let's say we had a natural disaster, an earthquake, something of major disaster, and it destroyed school facilities or infrastructure used by school facilities. And I could see going into the permanent fund and saying, look, we need to rebuild a bunch of schools here, and we just don't have the money to do it through regular bond capacity. Could be a fire, could be a forest fire. Let's say a forest fire goes in and wipes out the town of Los Alamos and destroys the school. Then maybe you would get approval through the legislature to go in and get the money necessary to, you know, get the schools rebuilt for the kids in Los Alamos. I don't see it being used for salaries. We've already got enough issues with our retirement funds not being funded properly and other issues that are going on that it just... But the other 2, I'm going to have to do some more research on. And that's what you need to do. You may disagree with me entirely. You may think, no, that what the governor is wanting to do in this constitutional amendment for the permanent fund, we're never going to touch the permanent fund. If we're only going to wait for something like a fire wiping out a town before we access the permanent fund, then what's the point of the permanent fund? That's why the permanent fund's there, to help us out with some of these things we need to do. You may agree with the concept. But at least get your sample ballot, see what's on there, read it, study it, and so that you can form your opinion. The time to do that is not when you're standing in line to vote and you give them your name and they print you your ballot and then you take the ballot to go into the box. That's not the time to study the down ballot candidates and to study the constitutional amendments and the bond issues. And it's not good enough to look at it and say, well, I didn't know anything about these, and just not vote. You know, again, this is my opinion. You obviously can formulate your own opinion, but I think on the constitutional amendment to let the governor have access to the permanent fund for salaries and other items that are listed on the amendment, if you don't study that, if you don't learn about it, if you don't understand what the concept is, what they're trying to do, and you just don't vote, well, I don't know anything about it, so I don't vote, that could negatively impact, you know, then what'll happen, and a perfect example, somehow in this state we approved the concept under the Richardson administration to get rid of the school board authority, the state school board's authority over our schools. It's a Department of Education appointed by the governor. And for the most part, we didn't really notice any change in anything until COVID. Then COVID hits, and the school boards, elected school boards across the state of New Mexico, Artesia, wherever, Roswell, Carlsbad, were powerless against certain edicts that were put out by the Department of Education. So the Department of Education, which was a bunch of governor-appointed people, issued rulings that had to be carried out by the boards of education across the state of New Mexico that in many cases were not what the local communities wanted to do. That's an example of a constitutional amendment or some kind of an amendment that's on a ballot in a general election that most of the people voted for, and it bit us in the butt big time over the last couple of years when it came to who is ultimately in charge of educating our kids. And it's going to bite us in the butt with this critical race theory crap that they've crammed into the social studies language curriculum. And so that's why you've got to study the constitutional amendments. That's why you've got to study the bond questions. And if you don't know enough about them, go to your party people and go to both parties and get websites and get opinions on both ways. And then you can well, this group here says it's a bad idea. This group here says it's a good idea. They make their case. They lay out their arguments, why it's a good thing, why it's a bad thing. Ultimately, you make the decision. But if you don't learn or you don't vote or you just check a box because you don't know enough about it, then things like the education department garbage get passed, and get implemented. And look at what our public education people went through, what our parents went through, what our students went through during the pandemic, and they were powerless to offer suggestions, modify the policies, powerless against the public education department. Well, how did this happen? Well, we voted for it back when Richardson was the governor. And who was in the Richardson administration? Michelle Lujan Grisham. She learned from the master. So that's why I suggest that you learn about these issues so that you can make an informed decision when you go in and vote. Okay, Jeffrey's in here topping off his Kith and Kin coffee. I was going to go to the weather, but that would be unfair since you're working on your coffee. So I'm going to take this break, and we'll be back with more on the Good Morning Artesia radio show after this.
Oh, fair New Mexico, we love you so.
Hello, I'm Jimmy G. Mason, Republican candidate for New Mexico District 66, House of Representatives. And I'm asking for your vote this November. But mostly I'm asking for you to vote for all the conservative Republican candidates this election. We need everyone to register to vote and vote in a bipartisan effort to change Santa Fe. Every vote will matter. Government needs to fear the people, not the people fearing the government. God bless the people of New Mexico.
New Mexico, New Mexico, New Mexico.
This message paid for by the committee to elect Jimmy G. Mason, Johnny Schumann, treasurer.
Jennifer here from Trustmark Roofing, and I know you've heard me say that you can trust Trustmark, but I want you to know what that looks like in real life. A few years ago, we installed a beautiful new roof for an older woman who was recently widowed. She was an artist, and colors were really important to her. So when she said she didn't like the color of a brand new roof, we took that seriously. She had picked the color and signed off on it, but I just kept thinking, if she's going to walk into her house every day and be disappointed, then we're just going to redo it. So we did. We ripped that beautiful new roof off and replaced it with a slightly different color, and she was thrilled. Yes, it cost us quite a bit of money to make her happy, but I want you to know you can trust Trustmark to make it exactly right every time. If you have any roofing needs, call us at 575-755-ROOF or find us online at trustmarkroofpros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
Hi, I'm Dr. Keon at Carabelli Dental. Same-day smiles are what we do. My passion is helping patients chew, talk, and live with confidence. That's why I'm one of the few doctors in the U.S. who can create beautiful same-day smiles with the latest digital implant technology. This procedure is life-changing. Just ask Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean. I've been that voice that you've heard on the radio for most of my life, but I'm also a dad to two amazing kids. I've had a million reasons to smile, but in all my old pictures, I was never smiling. Truth is that life of improper care and being dealt a bad hand genetically left me practically with no teeth. It affected everything from the way I ate, the way I talked, and of course how I interacted with people. And that's where Dr. Keon and Carabelli stepped in. They eased my fears. They explained every step of the process in a way that I could understand, and they made me feel almost like I was part of the team. And now, I can't stop smiling. I have so much more confidence, and I love looking in the mirror now. I can't explain how much of a difference Dr. Keon's dental implant process made for me.
Our team can help you find your smile too. Come see us at Carabelli Dental, 575-622-4455.
It's Chevy truck season at Guy Chevrolet Company in Artesia. The Chevy Silverado is as durable as it is dependable with its proven power and capability along with advanced technology. And this month you can make it your own with a $1,000 accessory allowance when you purchase or lease a Silverado 1500 or HD. So come on in and see us today at Guy Chevrolet Company on the corner of 1st and Main in Artesia or at GuyChevy.com.
Making a great deal better every day.
The National Education Association of New Mexico, a union of teachers and school staff, believes every child deserves to learn at a school that inspires their imagination, cultivates their curiosity, and ensures a fulfilling life. Public schools should provide all our students with small class sizes and one-on-one attention. NEA New Mexico asks you to join us so together we can end the teacher and staff shortage and invest in our public education system once and for all. Sponsored by NEA New Mexico.
You know, my only gripe has been that, he's got a soccer shirt, and I don't have one. Maybe I haven't even had the chance to buy one. Welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. Why am I getting that email? Another junk. Let's see. Yeah, we don't need that. Okay. Hey, let's do our weather forecast. That's what Jeffrey was asking about. Do we do? Yeah, we need to do the weather. That's what we need to do. Okay. He was in here grabbing some Kith and Kin coffee, and I've got some Kith and Kin coffee. Now that we have our coffee, let's take a look at the weather forecast.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Low pressure over western Texas and southern New Mexico, and a lot of moist air available, so scattered showers and thunderstorms coming up for us today. It'll be cloudy, and that'll keep our afternoon high in the low 70s. Some showers and thunderstorms continuing overnight, and we'll drop to about 55, and then high pressure takes over the weather pattern on Tuesday, upper 70s and sunny. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
All right, Steve-O, thank you very much. Right now, we are sitting on 56 degrees under cloudy skies. 58 degrees, I'm sorry. 58 and cloudy. We've got 88% humidity. The dew point is 54 degrees. Pressure is steady, 30.15. Winds are calm out of the east. Air quality is 47. Good air quality. We had a high yesterday of 68, a low of 53. 1 year ago, we had a high of 93 and a low of 52. Minimum 4-inch soil temps are between 60 and 66 degrees. Over the weekend, we had 0.37 inches of rain over the weekend, as reported Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Monday morning. Brings our total for the year to 9.65 inches of rain. The minimum 4-inch soil temps between 60 and 66 degrees. We will have sunset. Will be at 6:30 this evening, sunrise at 6:58 in the morning. So there's your weather. All right, more important messages, stuff you need to know, and then we'll be back.
If you're missing a tooth or several teeth, a dental implant may be the ultimate solution. Implants look and feel so much like real teeth that you probably forget you have an implant. Maupin and Brown Dentistry is one of New Mexico's most experienced implant providers, with literally thousands of implant patients who are absolutely delighted with the results. Call Maupin and Brown today for an evaluation. You'll be surprised how affordable implants can be. Maupin and Brown, your choice for experienced, state-of-the-art dentistry.
The VA reports 149,756 military veterans living here in New Mexico. What doesn't get reported much are steps to improve their quality of life and honor their service. Did you know that major improvements are coming to our only long-term skilled nursing home for New Mexico veterans? Back in July, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham announced $60 million for upgrades and new home-like residences at the state's Veterans Home in Tier C. And she cut New Mexico's income tax on military retirement for the next 5 years. She's invested millions of dollars towards veteran cemeteries, a new Vietnam memorial wall, and towards the construction of a new Navajo Code Talkers Museum and Veterans Center in New Mexico. And she approved major upgrades to the Baton Memorial Park near Silver City this year, too. As the daughter of a military veteran, Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham is a champion of New Mexico vets that they can count on. Let's keep her.
Paid for by New Mexicans for Michelle.
Approved by Michelle Lujan Grisham.
We're in challenging dark times, like being in the Carlsbad Caverns without a light, or on the plains of the White Sands at night. We've lacked the light of real leadership in Washington. But in New Mexico, we've got Congresswoman Yvette Herro fighting for us, against the woke radical liberals in Washington who look down on us. Yvette Herro fights to secure our southern border and stop the flood of crime and drugs. Yvette Herro fights for the energy industry that creates New Mexico jobs and can end America's reliance on foreign oil. Yvette Herro fights for our neighbors, friends, and families' safety by standing with law enforcement against the radicals who want to defund the police. The woke, radical, liberal Democrats have failed us, but we've got our Congresswoman, Yvette Herro, fighting them, leading for us. Paid for by Right Women PAC, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. RightWomen.com.
In volatile times, it's natural to worry about your retirement.
Hon, I'm worried about our retirement account.
With today's economy, it just makes sense to keep your retirement money close to home with people you know. We have several guaranteed safe options. Peace of mind with retirement savings. It just makes sense. Western Bank of Artesia, member FDIC. It just makes sense.
Today, 50 million Americans live with chronic pain, sometimes significant enough to interfere with their daily lives. But there is hope. Dr. Casey Della Barca and the team at Southeastern New Mexico Pain Management Clinic at Artesia General Hospital can help. Dr. Della Barca is an experienced pain management specialist. He works with patients to find personalized treatment plans and combines physical and occupational therapy with advanced procedures to improve quality of life. Visit artesiageneral.com/pain to request an appointment.
It's Chevy truck season at Guy Chevrolet Company in Artesia. The Chevy Silverado is as durable as it is dependable with its proven power and capability along with advanced technology. And this month you can make it your own with a $1,000 accessory allowance when you purchase or lease a Silverado 1500 or HD. So come on in and see us today at Guy Chevrolet Company on the corner of 1st and Main in Artesia or at GuyChevy.com.
Making a great deal better every day.
Welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. We're about to wrap up our 8 o'clock hour. Coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, we've got our chit-chat with Aaron Irving of Oakley and Irving Wealth Management, although I forgot to check with Aaron. It's a federal holiday, which means it's a bank holiday. I don't know if they're even open today. I'll have to check on that. So let's see. We'll check to see if we have Aaron Irving scheduled for today, and then I'll check and see since they're done with the fishing. I'm hoping Joby pops in and we'll talk a little bit fishing, bulldog sports, whatever it is that he wants to chit chat about. But we'll have that coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. We've got our Kith and Kin breakfast today. Of course, they're open today, and I'll find out from Jeffrey how good the bacon is. It looks really, really good. I grabbed the sausage sandwich over here, and I think the barking guy had a sample of a couple of different sandwiches there. But let me tell you, Kith and Kin, for gourmet quality, absolutely delicious breakfast sandwiches, that's where you need to go. That'll be a treat for somebody. This is KSVP Artesia, K229AS Artesia.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Crime has been a big issue in the New York governor's race, and it's bound to capture even more attention now that 2 teens were shot outside the Long Island home of Republican gubernatorial candidate Congressman Lee Zeldin.
At what point are we supposed to talk about the crime on our own streets? I'm standing in front of crime scene tape in front of my own house. You can't get me more outraged than right now.
It happened yesterday afternoon. The 2 victims were injured. They sought refuge under Zeldin's front porch. The congressman says police tell him the attack had nothing to do with him or his family, and he says no one in his family was injured. A lot of Russian missiles have been finding their way to cities all across Ukraine, including the capital, Kiev. Journalist Sergei Almaz in the Ukrainian capital tells the BBC it's been a scene of utter confusion and chaos.
I woke up and heard the sound of what I thought was an airplane, looked out the window and heard the first explosion, went out, saw kids running for shelter. There's a school nearby, people frantic. And then a second explosion, I saw big plumes of smoke, went to the first strike site, and I saw businesses and windows shattered, emergency services. Police officers were frantic, just yelling, and Kyiv hasn't seen this for quite a while.
Former President Trump continuing to hold big rallies ahead of next month's midterm elections. Mesa, Arizona, scene of his latest event last night. He ripped the Democrats for sky-high inflation.
Under Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, and the radical Democrat Congress, gasoline prices, congratulations, by the way, in Arizona, are up 86% in a very short period of time, and they're going higher.
Mr. Trump still not saying whether he's going to make a run for the White House in 2024. Stocks lower on Wall Street. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Charlie Dombeck here from Key City Capital. As a practicing CPA for nearly 30 years, I have found that 80% of your ability to grow your wealth is dependent upon 2 factors, taxes and investment performance. At Key City Capital, we improve investment performance by diversifying capital into off-market investment opportunities in passive rental real estate and alternatives like asset-backed lending. We recover dollars that clients unnecessarily pay in the form of income taxes, creating a lifetime annuity of savings. We are a sponsor of passive, affordable single and multifamily residential rental investments, which are located in Sunbelt landlord-friendly states. These investments are the top choices in a rising interest rate and inflationary environment. They represent a store of value, protecting your capital from market volatility. Learn how we at Key City Capital can help you ultimately grow your wealth rapidly. Connect with me at keycitycapital.com or give me a call at 817-912-1569.
Several Chinese cities imposing new COVID lockdowns and travel restrictions.
Chinese authorities say the number of new daily COVID-19 cases tripled during a week-long holiday. State broadcaster CCTV reports the latest lockdown was imposed today in the northern city of Fenyang after a preliminary positive case was found in citywide testing the day before. The capital of the nearby Inner Mongolia region says outside vehicles and passengers are prohibited from entering the city starting Tuesday. China is one of the few places in the world still imposing harsh measures to keep COVID-19 from spreading. I'm Donna Warner.
In Germany, a government-appointed expert panel proposing a 2-stage system for distributing up to $195 billion in subsidies that's supposed to help ease the strain of high gas prices. Townhall.com. After it exploded in popularity during the pandemic, there's now a move to rein in telemedicine.
The Alliance for Connected Care, which advocates for the use of telemedicine, says nearly 40 states and Washington, D.C. have ended pandemic emergency declarations that made it easier for doctors to use video visits to see patients in another state. Now hospitals are warning doctors not to practice medicine in a state where they don't have a license. Some states, like Virginia, have created exceptions for people who have an existing relationship with a physician, and a few, including Arizona and Florida, have generally made it easier. But doctors say the patchwork of rules has led some to shut down out-of-state telemedicine entirely. I'm Ben Thomas.
China criticizing the latest U.S. decision to tighten export controls. The move would make it more difficult for China to obtain and to manufacture advanced computing chips. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Today is Columbus Day, a federal holiday in the United States which officially celebrates the anniversary of Christopher Columbus' arrival in the Americas in October 1492. Christopher Columbus led a Spanish enterprise to cross the Atlantic Ocean in search of an alternative route to the Far East, only to land in the New World. The first Columbus Day celebration took place in 1792, when the Columbian Order of New York, better known as Tammany Hall, held an event to commemorate the 300th anniversary of the historic landing. Happy Columbus Day, one and all.
They see me mowing my front lawn. I know they're all thinking I'm so white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Can't you see I'm white and nerdy? Look at me, I'm white and nerdy. I wanna roll with the gangsters, but so far they all think I'm too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. Think I'm just too white and nerdy. I'm just too white and nerdy. Really, really white and nerdy. First class there at MIT. Got skills, I'm a champion of D&D. MC Escher, that's my favorite.
Hey there, welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. Sitting here kind of looking at, trying to do a little bit of research on the constitutional amendments. And we mentioned in the last hour that Constitutional Amendment 2, authorizing funds for residential services infrastructure amendment. A yes vote supports authorizing the legislature to appropriate state funds for infrastructure that provides services primarily for residential use, such as internet, electric, natural gas, water, and wastewater, through a majority vote in each chamber. A no vote opposes this amendment, though a majority vote in each chamber, thereby leaving no exception for residential service infrastructure in the state's constitution prohibition against lending or pledging credit or donating to any person, association, or public-private corporation. Currently, there is no exception for essential service infrastructure in Article 9's prohibition against lending, pledging credit, or donating to any person, association, or public or private corporation. Give you an example of what may be affected by this constitutional amendment. And I've asked about this a few times. Sometimes I'll get a different answer. But let's say, for example, at the Eddy County Fair. Now, the Eddy County Fair is on private property. Eddy County Fair Board runs that property. There's the Horse Council Arena, which again is private property, and then there's the Eddy County Community Building, which is on public property, but it's not the whole complex. There's like 3 different entities that have ownership of that property. In the past, during the fair, you might have seen prisoners from the Eddy County Detention Center that would be walking around the fairgrounds, and they would be swapping out trash bags. They'd be emptying the trash barrels. Be part of their community service, part of their work to work off their sentence. And it was a way for that service to be provided at the Eddy County Fair without having to hire someone to do that. So you'd see the warden that would be responsible for that group. They'd come up in a county vehicle, and they would walk around the fair 2 or 3 times a day, emptying the trash barrels and pick it all up, and help keep the fairgrounds clean during the Eddy County Fair. You may have noticed the last few years that has not happened. You haven't seen the prisoners packing out the trash. They've had individuals that have had to do that, or they've had to hire it to be done. Now, my understanding is that the reason the prisoners are not able to do that is because it'd be a violation of the anti-donation clause. So would amending the state's constitution as proposed in Constitutional Amendment 2, would that then allow entities such as Eddy County to provide prisoners to do trash cleanup at the fair? You know, I think that would be a way that it would be interpreted. As usual, though, the language of the proposed amendment may not do that. The amendment defines essential services as, quote, infrastructure that allows internet, energy, water, wastewater, or other services provided by law. So I don't know that that would fall into that type of a category. So it's one of those things that you need to do some research on. And I think, vote in the New Mexico House of Representatives. This was voted in the House February of this year. Simple majority of all members in each chamber. Number of yes votes required was 33. 43 Democrats voted yes in the House on this particular bill. 23 Republicans voted no. How many Democrats voted no to this amendment? 0. How many Republicans voted yes for this proposed amendment? 0. In the Senate, the vote was held 6 days later on February 16th. Again, a simple majority needed to pass. 25 Democrat senators voted yes. 0 Republicans in the Senate voted yes. 0 Democrats in the Senate voted no. 14 Republicans, or all of them, all but one, voted no. So that right there, just jumping off the page, just that alone tells me that the bill did not have bipartisan support. Republicans were opposed to it. Now, why were the Republicans opposed to it? We'll have to find out. Talk to one in the legislature. Why were the Democrats in favor of it? Talk to one in the legislature. Ballotopia said supporters include State Representative Anthony Allison, State Representative Christine Chandler, State Representative Tara Lujan, State Representative Linda Serrato, and State Representative Candy Sweetser. All Democrats. Anthony Allison made one of the arguments, quote, in too many communities across our state, families lack broadband service which prevents children from learning, or lack of water which creates health issues for families. This amendment would support the most vulnerable communities in our state that also need access to essential services. Do we need to amend the Constitution to do this? Or can a group of legislators get together in the House and the Senate and say, hey, we need broadband in some of these rural areas. Let's appropriate some money and then are we going to pick winners and losers in the broadband area? And let me ask you this. Right now, today, you can call up Elon Musk. Well, I can't talk to him directly, but you can go to Starlink. Right now, today, Elon Musk is launching satellites into orbit around Earth. They even show up on your astrophysical, your astronomical apps. If you get the apps and look at stars and stuff in the sky, the Starlink satellites are there. There is a network of satellites orbiting the Earth as we speak right now, today, that Elon Musk, through his financing and however he's put the deal together, he's launching these things into space for around $600. And for around $120 a month, you can put a satellite dish out in the yard and have broadband internet. Today. That's available today. So, and again, I'm just talking out loud. I'm not, this is what we all need to do. Would we not be better off to say to somebody in the rural countryside that doesn't have access to broadband because it's frankly way too expensive to run a fiber optic line to their ranch in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico? Would we not be better off to say, here's a check for $600, buy Starlink? And they take the $600, they buy the Starlink. The Starlink arrives via the UPS or the USPS or whatever delivery service gets out to that rural location. They install the service, sign up for the service. They're going to pay over $100 a month for it, but they will have broadband. Instead of amending the state constitution to allow our legislature on a majority vote basis decide to start funding things like this. Well, not everybody can afford $600. That's why the check comes out. Well, not everybody can afford the monthly service. Well, then put it in a community center. Put it at the school. Put it at the senior center. We fund, through the bond questions, senior centers all over the place. And so maybe people are in a rural community and they just need to have access occasionally to do some online stuff. So we put it at the senior center and they go to the senior center and there's access to the internet if they need it. Now, these are obviously solutions that weren't available 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago, but they're available now. And that's my point. Do we really need to amend the state constitution in order to do this? But these are questions that you need to ask as you get ready to go and vote. You may think that's the best idea ever, and that we need to support it and you need to vote for it. And you may think otherwise. You may think there's got to be other solutions that don't allow state governments to all of a sudden tap into and have access or allocate a whole nother boatload of money so that they can then show up at election time and say, look what I did for you. So, cell service is a lot more prevalent now in many parts of the state. And there's probably more infrastructure that needs to be invested in order to bring cell service into more parts of the state. There's probably no question about that. But you've got cell phone companies now that are advertising home internet service. You buy a box, you subscribe to the service, or maybe the box comes with the service, and you've got broadband unlimited internet from a box sitting in the living room. And there's no fiber, there's no cable, there's no nothing running into your house. Now it's got to collect to a cell tower somewhere, and that may not exist yet. But there are solutions to these problems that are becoming available through innovation and technology that may not require to amend the state constitution to give politicians more access to more money that they can spend so they can say how wonderful they are with your money to get reelected. So these are things you need to educate yourself on. You may think the best way to do this and solve this is the way that this legislation says, and you may support it. But then again, you may go, wait a minute. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? So, things to think about as we ponder the upcoming election. Again, I haven't made a decision on a couple of these things yet. I'm thinking out loud with you on some of the issues that may or may not come up or are supposedly addressed by some of these state constitutional amendments. Do we need to amend the Constitution in order to make sure that we're getting broadband internet into some of these rural areas when we've got a satellite network orbiting the Earth right now as we speak, that a certain percentage of it is probably funded by either loans, bond issues, or other kind of guaranteed contracts by the taxpayers? Would we be better off to say, how many families are we talking about here that are affected by this? There's got to be a number. Is it 1,000? Is it 5,000? Is it 10,000? Is it 100,000? Maybe that'd be a more useful way to spend Biden money. Just buy everybody a Starlink. Problem solved. Or is that the solution to the problem? I mean, that's what I'm saying. You need to think about these things before we just willy-nilly walk in there and vote. Now, if you want to vote in the November 8th election and you've had a change in your status or you have not yet registered to vote, you need to get registered by tomorrow. Then you'll be eligible to vote in the November general election. You can go by the chamber. They're open today. You can go by Benny's Western Wear. You can look for, I think there's a couple of folks with the Republican Party at their party headquarters that are registrars and can get you registered to vote. If you've moved and you're not sure if you're still in the same district that you think you are, or maybe you're in the district you want to vote in, go to the Secretary of State's website. Look for voter information. Get to the voter information portal. And you can even print out a sample ballot. I printed out my sample ballot. I've got my sample ballot right here today. What is today, the 10th? So we're 1 month away from the election. I've got my sample ballot. I know what's on the ballot. So I can start doing my research on how I want to vote on some of these things. Okay. Jeffrey, are you ready for the weather? Let's see if it's going to rain anymore. It looks kind of nasty out there. Not nasty, just kind of cloudy and blah. Steve?
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Low pressure over western Texas and southern New Mexico, and a lot of moist air available, so scattered showers and thunderstorms coming up for us today. It'll be cloudy, and that'll keep our afternoon high in the low 70s. Some showers and thunderstorms continuing overnight, and we'll drop to about 55, and then high pressure takes over the weather pattern on Tuesday, upper 70s and sunny. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Okay, let's see here. Right now, cloudy, 59 in Artesia. Still telling us we could see a drip of rain in the noon o'clock hour. And then we should see the sun come shooting out of the sky for tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. Cloudy skies on Friday and Saturday, and a chance for rain again on Sunday and Monday of next week. 59, cloudy at this hour. Humidity at 85%. The dew point is 55. Winds are out of the east at 2. Pressure at 30.15 and steady. Our air quality is 54. We have moderate air quality. Got up to 68 yesterday for the high, 53 the low. 1 year ago, 93 the high, 52 the low. Minimum 4-inch soil temps are between 60 and 66 degrees. Rainfall, we had 0.3 of an inch Saturday morning, as of Saturday morning, 0.05 as of Sunday morning, 0.02 as of this morning. So 0.37 inches of rain over the weekend, 9.65 for the year in Artesia, New Mexico. All right, let's take a break, and I need to find out if Aaron is working today, let's see here. I'm here. All right. We'll open up the Zoom room. Chit Chat with Aaron Irving. That's next on Good Morning what? Where are we? Artesia.
This is the owner of Trustmark Roofing, and nothing makes us happier than telling our customers no. As in, no pricing games. We give you a guaranteed price, and then we stand by it. No surprises, no gotchas. No obscurity. We don't just tell you what's wrong with your roof. We record our inspections and show you. No lemons. We install premium roofing materials from top brands like Owens Corning. No shortcuts. We're in the 2% of roofers with the Owens Corning Preferred Contractor Certificate for our local area. This means we offer precision installation and the longest warranties. Want a beautiful new roof that's built to last? Choose Trustmark Roofing, the roofer that loves to tell our customers no. For an estimate, call us at 575-755-ROOF or find us online at trustmarkroofpros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
Hi, I'm Dr. Keon at Carabelli Dental. Same-day smiles are what we do. My passion is helping patients chew, talk, and live with confidence. That's why I'm one of the few doctors in the U.S. who can create beautiful same-day smiles with the latest digital implant technology. This procedure is life-changing. Just ask Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean. I've been that voice that you've heard on the radio for most of my life, but I'm also a dad to two amazing kids. I've had a million reasons to smile, but in all my old pictures, I was never smiling. Truth is that life of improper care and being dealt a bad hand genetically left me practically with no teeth. It affected everything from the way I ate, the way I talked, and of course how I interacted with people. And that's where Dr. Keon and Carabelli stepped in. They eased my fears. They explained every step of the process in a way that I could understand, and they made me feel almost like I was part of the team. And now I can't stop smiling. I have so much more confidence, and I love looking in the mirror now. I can't explain how much of a difference Dr. Keon's dental implant process made for me.
Our team can help you find your smile too. Come see us at Carabelli Dental, 575-622-4455.
Welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show. Aaron Irving, like me, is remembering Columbus Day today.
Yes.
Yeah. I did the same thing on my fill-in cut for KSVIP.
Uh-huh.
I did a piece on Columbus Day.
Excellent.
Because that's still the federal holiday, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here, why we have the greatest republic in the history of the world, because Columbus did his thing.
Yeah. And I tried to be historically informational in my piece. I mean, they didn't know in 1492 that the world was round.
Right.
They suspected that it was. They didn't realize that there was an entire continent or two in between here and there. Trade had been going on with the East, spices and other things like that, and they'd have to travel across a lot of land to get from Europe to the East, the Far East, which is why it's called the Far East. Because it was east of Europe.
Far.
Yeah, it was far away, and it was east of Europe. So, because think about it, if we'd have gone the other way first, would it not be known as the Far West?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. So they didn't know. We didn't have pictures from space. We didn't know. We suspected that if we went the other way, we'd get to the Far East quicker.
Yeah, right.
And so Columbus put together, and he couldn't get people in his native country to go along with him, so he wound up getting Spain to back him. And 3 boats and a crew for each one of the boats, and they headed west, thinking that they would land in the Far East.
Right.
And boom, they ran into what is now North America.
And that is why they called the native people Indians.
Exactly, because he thought that they had made it going west. They had made it to that part of the world. not knowing that there was a whole continent and peoples in between. So, but that's the recognition of it. Now, some people have history revisionists. I haven't revisioned any history here, and we know what the European influence was on North America. They took it over.
Right.
We're not ignoring that fact, or we're not denying that happened, but that's what happened.
Right.
And so in New Mexico, because of that perspective on history, it's Indigenous Peoples Day in New Mexico and other states. There's other states that have adopted the same identity for the holiday.
Ideologies.
Yeah. But the Italians have looked at this thing for a long time as a celebration of Italian heritage, because Columbus was Italian, but he couldn't get anybody in Italy to fund his trip. He couldn't get the Germans. He couldn't get the British. He couldn't get anybody. But finally, the Spaniards said, okay, we'll give you some money, you know.
They had a little extra money laying around. They threw at him. And
So, anyway, so happy Columbus Day, everybody. Holy crud. This is crazy. I found some jokes on Reader's Digest about politicians.
Oh, yeah?
Or jokes that were said by politicians. Jimmy Carter said this once. My esteem in this country has gone up substantially. It's very nice now when people wave at me, they use all their fingers.
Was that after he left office that he said that?
I would think so, yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's good. And now Jimmy is he's a lot happier now because he is no longer being dubbed the worst president in the history of the United States.
Yeah, Biden took that and ran with it to be the worst president ever.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. And here's the thing, and you know this, 4 out of 10 people still think he's doing a good job.
That is sad. Just like there's MLG signs in some people's yards. So.
Yeah, yeah. Here's one for you. On his deathbed, a lifelong Republican supporter suddenly announced that he was switching to the Democrats. On his deathbed. Said a friend, I can't believe you're doing this. For your entire life, you've been a staunch Republican. Why would you want to become a Democrat now? Because I'd rather it was one of them that dies than one of us. Let's see. Dwight Eisenhower. You might get a kick out of this one.
Okay.
Dwight Eisenhower. He was the Allied commander during World War II. Huge studier of Gettysburg. Matter of fact, lived there in Pennsylvania, Gettysburg, until he passed away. Was considered to be the founder, or at least the originator of the concept of the interstate highway system in the United States of America. And he was a president. And he said, an atheist is a guy who watches a Notre Dame SMU football game and doesn't care who wins. How can you not pick sides in the Catholics versus the Methodists? And when they pray to God for guidance and support and for help in winning, does God take sides in the SMU Notre Dame game?
I don't know. It's about break rate.
I'm sure he's happy people are praying. That would probably be the top.
Right. See who has the most people praying to him for it.
Yeah. John F. Kennedy was a president of the United States. He was a war hero. PT boat.
Oh, 109, right?
PT 109, and he became recognized for his efforts during that time. And they asked him, a little boy asked him how he became a war hero. And he said, it was absolutely involuntary. They sank my boat. Ulysses S. Grant.
Okay.
He, along with his good buddy Sherman, were probably most responsible for the North finally winning the war over the South in the Civil War.
Right.
He led the troops that opened up the Mississippi River.
Because Grant wasn't afraid to move forward.
He wasn't afraid to move forward. He had Sherman and his March to the Sea that just basically destroyed the South's economic way of everything. Anyway, and he went on to become president. Very unsuccessful in business, but he was very successful as a general.
Yes.
And he once said, "I know only two tunes. One of them is Yankee Doodle, and the other isn't."
Guess he wasn't a great singer either.
And then I have to leave you with one from Ronald Reagan, if I may.
Okay.
Politics is supposed to be the second oldest profession, and I have come to realize that it bears a very close resemblance to the first. I think I've seen that clip.
Very good.
So, anyway, what do you have for us today?
Well, do you know why Christopher Columbus got lost?
There were no women on the trip.
No, because the directions weren't Pacific.
Pacific. I get it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Did you know that 23% of the crew aboard Christopher Columbus's ship Santa Maria were named Juan?
Really?
Yeah, it's almost a 3-to-1 ratio.
Of course it is.
Okay, my last Columbus one.
Uh-huh.
What's the last thing that Columbus said to his sailors before getting on the ship?
The last thing he said before getting on the ship?
Yep.
See you in the New World?
Okay, man, let's get on the ship.
See? Overthinking.
Yep.
Come on, let's get on board. We got to go. That's good. I like that.
Okay, and I can't leave you without an MLG joke, so.
Okay.
If I had special powers, I would make MLG the dumbest person alive. But it seems life already beat me to the punch.
Oh, there you go. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens in the here in a month. Early voting, I think is it in-person absentee?
I think tomorrow.
Yeah. But I think is it officially called in-person absentee?
I'm not sure. Yeah, because there's like in-person absentee, and then you go to early voting, and there's not really much. Like there's a difference when the votes get tabulated, I guess, but not
right.
Something I don't know.
Something like that. But get your sample ballot. Go online. Get your sample ballot. Do some research on the constitutional amendments and the bond questions, which will appear on the back of your ballot. Mine, it's page 2 because I didn't print front and back. But there's actually 3 constitutional amendments, and there are 3 bond questions.
Yeah, and constitutional amendments are not always the happy, rosy thing that they say they are.
Oh my gosh, that's just it. It's
very scary that people might fall for some of those, and especially the rating of the permanent fund. That's my biggest one.
Well, that's constitutional amendment 1.
Say yes for kids, but you're saying no for the future kids because they're going to bankrupt it. They say it's to use for this, but they're going to go ahead and use it for whatever they can.
Right.
And
right. Because
Constitution is the only thing holding them back.
That's right. And it says additional annual distributions of the permanent school fund for enhanced instruction for students at risk of failure. Well, that could mean anything.
Yeah.
Well, we need...
Just like COVID can mean anything.
Exactly. Extending the school year. Well, what happened to individual school districts and school boards elected by the local people in those communities deciding what the school year is going to be?
Yeah.
And what's that got to do with the permanent fund?
Yeah. And more of something that's not working. I think you need to change some things about how it's going to you not just make it longer, because that's not doing anybody any good. It's just stressing people out more, the teachers and the students both.
And then
so they need to figure out what works and use that, not make it longer just for show.
And then teacher compensation. So if there's any limits or controls or negotiating or discussion at all, and again, I'm not opposed to teachers getting paid fair. Yeah. I don't think anybody is. But now we're going to raid the permanent fund for salaries?
Yeah. The compensation doesn't need to come out of the permanent fund. We've got quite a few billions of dollars up there that they're trying to spend on all kinds of stupid stuff that they can use to pay teachers and police and all of that. You don't need to raid the permanent fund for that. That's not what it's for. It's supposed to be the permanent fund. Especially if you're going to destroy oil and gas, you're not going to keep adding to the permanent fund. So.
That's right. So I've already voted in that one. You know, I used red pens so that it wouldn't accidentally show up at a polling place somewhere. But I'm. And then I was looking at the number 2, which is the anti-donation clause thing, and I find it interesting. Not a single Republican voted for that, and not a single Democrat voted against that.
Yeah,
that's a red flag.
Something that lopsided, probably should know how to vote.
That's kind of a sign. Here's your sign. You know.
Here's your sign.
So. Well, very good. Well, are the markets open today?
They are. Well, the bond market's not open, but the stock market is, and it's going to be probably low volume. So whatever the mood is, which the mood is kind of negative, but it'll be kind of off-sided because a lot of people are off today. But the markets are open, so light volume makes easy trades.
Well, let's get an update and go from there.
All right. This is Aaron Irving with LPL Financial, member of FINRA and the SIPC, bringing you your mid-morning stock market report for Monday, October the 10th. Stocks fell this morning with the NASDAQ composite falling to its lowest level in 2 years as tech shares continue to be the hardest hit in this bear market because of spiking interest rates. The NASDAQ composite dropped more than 1.3%, touching its lowest level since September of 2020. Weighed down by a slump in semiconductor stocks such as NVIDIA and AMD. The S&P 500 also was lower, dragged down by semi-stocks and dips in major tech names Apple and Microsoft. The benchmark lost about 0.78%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was about 77 points lower, bolstered by big gains in Merck and McDonald's. A slump in semiconductor stocks comes after the Biden administration announced new export controls that limit U.S. companies selling advanced computing semiconductors and related manufacturing equipment to China. Tech shares have also been hit the hardest in this sell-off because as rising rates expose their relatively high valuations and raise their cost of capital. While the bond market is closed today, futures on the 10-year Treasury note were lower in Monday trading, indicating yields will continue their march higher tomorrow. Yields move inversely to prices. The price of the 10-year Treasury futures were lower by about 0.6%. Investors are also cautious ahead of key earnings and inflation reports this week that will shed new light on the U.S. economy. 4 of the world's largest banks, J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, Morgan Stanley, and Citi report on Friday, while PepsiCo, Delta, and Domino's are among companies reporting next week. New monthly producer price index data comes out this Wednesday, and consumer price index data comes out Thursday. The NASDAQ's losses for this year are now greater than 32% after today's decline. The S&P 500 is off 24% in 2022 so far. Currently, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 89 points at 29,207. The S&P 500 is 26 points lower at 3,613. And the NASDAQ composite is off by 115 points to 10,536. West Texas Intermediate crude is down 84 cents a barrel to $91.80. Stocks of local interest. HF Sinclair is down 58 cents a share to $54.96. Walmart is 23 cents higher at $128.79 a share. Xcel Energy is up 63 cents a share to $60.46. And Duke Energy is 51 cents higher at $89.58 a share. This is Aaron Irving with Oakley & Irving Wealth Management, serving business owners and energy industry professionals in the Pecos Valley and beyond. You can find us at oiwealth.com, or at our offices in Artesia and Carlsbad. You can call us at 575-887-7075. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member of FINRA, and the SIPC.
Have a wonderful Columbus Day, Aaron.
All right, you do the same.
Will do. Sean Hannity has a thought on the news of the day. That's coming up next. Need to ship a package? Choose UPS. Need to ship a package UPS from Artesia? Bring your package to Brown Drug. Brown Drug wants to be your UPS shipping center in Artesia. Use Brown Drug as your UPS shipping center and we'll reward you by shipping your 11th package 5 pounds or less for free. If you want to make sure your package arrives on time, use UPS. The easy and convenient place to ship UPS in Artesia is Brown Drug at the corner of 4th and Washington.
Turn up your radio. Here's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
So we know Vladimir Putin is out there saber-rattling and threatening to use nuclear weapons. And Joe's answer, apparently, according to all these reports out today, your government is spending $290 million for the procurement of a drug Nplate to treat acute radiation syndrome, ARS for short, announced by the U.S. Health and Human Services. Is this Joe's plan? If in fact Vladimir uses a tactical nuke or any nuclear weapon inside of Ukraine or elsewhere? Is that? Oh, we got to make sure we have enough anti-radiation drugs. Why are you not on the phone telling him that his entire country and he will be gone if in fact that happens?
Check out the Sean Hannity radio show later today, right here.
War, inflation, and $30 trillion in debt. It's looking like 2008 all over again. Millions of Americans watch their retirement savings disappear, while those who invested in physical gold and silver were protected. And if you have $50,000 or more in your IRA, 401k, or savings, you could be at risk again. Right now, thousands of Americans are using an IRS loophole to add physical gold and silver to their retirement savings. So call 855-815-GOLD to get a free gold kit and learn how you could get $10,000 or more in free silver to protect your retirement savings. Goldco has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and they have placed over $1 billion in precious metals. We could be looking at a recession worse than 2008, so don't wait. Call Goldco today. Call 855-815-GOLD. That's 855-815-GOLD.
I'm just being silly. Good morning. Welcome back to the Good Morning Artesia radio show. And it is our last Pecos Valley Bassmasters fishing update for the year. As you guys concluded your fishing season with not this weekend, but the previous weekend with your end of the year tournament.
Championship tournament. Yeah, we did conclude that, and we are wrapped up. We had a championship / year-end banquet that Saturday night, which was a week ago Saturday, and so we are concluded. I thought I'd come in one more time to wrap up the year since I didn't kind of do that last week.
Yeah, that's cool. The club will probably get together soon or in the next few months to kind of talk about next year, and just based on some early conversations, are there kind of coalescing around how many tournaments and where you want to have tournaments, some of those types of discussions?
Yeah, I had asked everyone to, I sent out a mass text last week and asked everybody to start sending in their personal top 3 lake picks. And a bunch of guys have already done that. And what I'm going to do is take those as they come in, their votes, and then kind of separate them out based on the number of votes they got, And then probably in January is when we'll have our first meeting for 2023. May try to have it actually in person. We haven't had one in person in a long time besides when we meet at the lakes and then our banquet last weekend. But we've got guys kind of scattered. We've got guys in Lee County and down in the Carlsbad area, and then, of course, here in Artesia. So a lot of times they can't make it, but just because everybody's busy and trying to make it to a bass club meeting doesn't always work. But in any case, we're going to do that in January. That's my plan, to vote on officers and to vote on schedule. And personally, I'm looking forward to doing what we did this year, which is having individual day tournaments over the course of next year, which means we've got a lot more tournaments. Instead of one a month, theoretically, you've got 2 a month because you got a Saturday and a Sunday, plus fish out of Brantley 4 or 5 times. So that, last year I think we ended up having 19 tournaments because of the way we did it. And so again, if we can do that again, I'm excited about that. And I think our club is too. I think it worked really well, having the boaters against the boaters and the non-boaters against the non-boaters, and having 2 one-day tournaments. And so I'm hoping that the club members thought that worked well, and that's how we go again next year. But that's the plan. We are done for this year. Still fishing to be done. I'm sure a lot of our guys will be fishing all winter probably, especially with Brantley still having water in it. And now we're getting this rain this week and last week. Hopefully it'll maintain a certain level of water. I know they're letting it out, but it's coming in too.
Right. Well, somebody I was talking to on Saturday up in Roswell, Sunday, I was talking to Thomas, and he had heard they'd had like 4 inches of rain over the
last couple of weeks,
last week or so. With all the rain they had up there. And I think that's true because all of it wound up above the roof of our trailer.
I heard about that.
Raining down. I've never seen that before, Joby.
Yeah.
Rain coming through the sheetrock. It was raining inside the trailer.
I've seen that in places, so I have seen it. In houses. Where the roof was no good.
Yeah, I have a feeling when my guy gets up there to do the roof, my roofer guy gets up there, I'm going to have him go inside. I'm going to cut that out of there.
Yeah.
Make sure everything's all dried out, and then replace it, because then you worry about mold and
whatnot,
all that kind of stuff. So.
Well, the rain is fantastic. I'm glad we're getting it. I heard on the show this morning, I think you said we have over 9 inches here in Artesia so far this year, which is probably a little below our annual average, but we still got some time left in the year. So hopefully we get above our average this year. But I can tell you from my perspective, I love the rain, but I hate it around my place because I've got animals, and we raise pigs and a calf, and we've got a horse and goats and all kinds of things. And on that side of my property, I call it our pasture and our pens and our barn. It's just a muddy mess.
Yeah.
It makes it very difficult to go out there and work with those animals, feed them and everything. And then on my other side of my place, around my shop, it's just a muddy mess because it's gravel. But anyway, but other than that, I love the rain.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're getting it. It's good for our soil and good for our country.
No, absolutely. We could use it.
And good for fishing because it's keeping our lake full.
That's right. Now, last year, what were the New Mexico lakes that the club fished?
We ended up fishing just Ute, I think, and Brantley. Let me think about that. We may have fished Conscious. I can't remember. Those 3 lakes over the years have been pretty constant for us. We have also in the past fished lakes like Fort Sumner Lake, Santa Rosa, Elephant Butte. We fished in the past. But this year, I think we did fish Conscious once, and I think we fished Ute once. I'm not 100% on Conscious. Maybe we didn't. So this year, 2022, we may have only fished Ute and Brantley. Then we fished in Texas. We fished Fort Phantom Hill. We fished Hubbard Creek. We fished Possum Kingdom. We fished Amstead. All those will probably be again next year. I did have a couple of members talk to me about a lake called Champion Creek, I think is what it's called, Champion Creek. Apparently it's a good little lake that they're excited about. They both put it on their list. And so I'm always looking for new lakes if we can find them, and they're relatively close. And I think Champion Creek is no further than going like we already do to Texas. OH Ivy was actually made the top, I think it made the top 10 in Bassmaster magazine as far as hot lakes. And we didn't fish it. We have fished that one in the past. It's a little, it's not much farther than any other lake. So there's a lot of opportunities for us. But in New Mexico next year, I'm thinking we'll probably fish Conscious Lake and Ute.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody has voted for the other smaller lake like Santa Rosa and Fort Sumner.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody has voted for Elephant Butte. But I think Elephant Butte fished pretty good this year. Elephant Butte was so low. It was down to like 5%.
For so long.
But I
Yeah.
think the rains we've had this year, I think it's got some more water in it. And so you never know. We might try to fish Elephant Butte next year too. But basically, when we have our meeting in January, what I tend to do each year is I try to have a skeleton of a schedule with dates and lakes. And then we go in and we look at them and we make changes as the club votes.
Yeah.
And we try to have our schedule written. And in the years past, we have fished as early as January. Typically speaking, we don't start fishing until February or even first week or so in March. But a lot of excitement, I think, in our club. We had a good year this year, and so I know those guys will be ready, and I will be too. We'll be ready to go fishing. So we may start as early as January. We'll see. Generally speaking, over the years, we've always gone down to Amstead because it's way south, down in Del Rio, Texas, and usually not as cold down there as it is, up here.
Except the one year you went and it snowed.
Well, one year we were going to go, and there was like a foot of snow. So I think it was year before last.
Yeah, when they had all the problems out in Texas.
Entire state of every county was under snow. First time in history.
Yeah,
is what I remember reading and seeing on the news. But yeah, Amstead had over a foot of snow, which is really
just insane.
It was really weird.
Well, let me ask you this: because you fished at a lot of different lakes in different parts of the country, is there like a dream lake for fishing? Not that it would be an event for the club, but just for you personally.
I think years and years and years ago, we had an opportunity as a club. We ended up not placing because the top 6 in our region teams were going to get to go to Lake Okeechobee in Florida.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of lakes in Texas. In Mexico that are really, really big bass lakes. But for me, I guess if I could ever go to Lake Okeechobee in Florida, that's known for big bass, and I think that would be pretty cool. I was pretty excited back when that happened. It was in, I think, the mid-2000s, and there was at the time, I think ESPN had bought BASS, and they were having these 6-man team tournaments, and the New Mexico team tournament was, so each state would have their tournament, and then the top 6 teams from each state would go to a regional tournament, and then the top 6 teams at each regional tournament were going to the national championships in Lake Okeechobee, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I had just started fishing and bass fishing, tournament fishing. And our club president back then was Brad Young, local, and he fished with us this year. Glad to have Brad fishing with us. He hadn't fished in a while with us. But anyway, he tells the club, hey, there's this opportunity at Elephant Butte, and if in the top 6 teams get to go to Amstead, that's where the regionals are going to be. And so do you guys want to do it? So anyway, we've got a team together. I got to be on it. And we actually finished 7th at New Mexico, so we weren't going to go to Amstead, but then a team backed out, so we were the first alternate, so we got to go. And then we finished 7th at Amstead, but no teams backed out. So yeah, both tournaments we actually finished one place out. But Okeechobee, I guess, would be a neat place for me to go fishing someday.
Interesting to see how quickly they recover after the hurricane that came through, and that's something that happens all the time,
right.
So I'm sure they're kind of used to it, but
right.
Just depending on where it makes landfall.
Right.
Well, it'd be kind of fun to maybe do that.
Yeah, and then Mexico. I know a lot of people that go down to Mexico. There's several big lakes in Mexico that just catch. They catch so many fish, they get tired.
That sounds like a fish story.
I've had people tell me that they catch so many fish, they get tired of catching them. Their arms wear out. They're like, let's go take a break. They're just catching so many fish, and big ones too. I mean, they catch big fish down there, and so that would be pretty interesting.
Pretty good.
I think.
So, if anybody's interested, if they want to see what the results from the previous year are, or maybe want to join next year.
Yep.
And be a part of this, you've got a website.
pvbm.club, so our acronym, Pecos Valley Bassmasters.club, not .com, .club. And I haven't put all the final pictures up there or the results for the championship, but everything else is there. And several years previous stuff is there too, so people just like to look at the pictures and results and go to our club website and look at all that, and I'll try to get all that kind of wrapped up for this year sometime in the near future. And then also follow us on Facebook. I don't post a lot, haven't been posting a lot on Facebook, but Pecos Valley Bassmasters on Facebook. And I do more during the season, obviously, but really our club website is a good place to go. You can click on the Join tab. It's going to pop up a PDF. It should be fillable, but you can print it, and it tells you where to send it to. And we actually, we had several members join this year following us on our website, so it works.
Good deal. Joby, thank you as always.
Thank
I guess
you.
I'll see you Friday night.
Yeah. I planning on going.
I think there's a football game.
I think there might be one.
All right. Thanks a lot, Joby. And that's it for this Columbus Day broadcast. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Russia's military have hurled a barrage of missiles against Ukrainian cities, including the